The rain drummed against the windows of the Plaza Hotel, droplets racing down the glass like tears. Inside, chandeliers cast a golden glow over the ballroom, where Olivia Morgan's wedding reception unfolded in a symphony of champagne flutes and designer gowns. Outside, Sophia Morgan stood beneath the awning, her borrowed red sequin dress catching flickers of light from the hotel entrance. For a moment, she remained there watching her twin sister through the windows, separated not just by glass, but by the vastly different paths their lives had taken. A doorman cleared his throat. "Miss, are you coming back inside?" Sophia clutched her small purse tighter and nodded, slipping past him into the warmth of the hotel. The contrast between the cold rain and the heated ballroom made her shiver as she navigated through tables of laughing guests to reach her assigned seat, a table for 8, where she sat alone, 7 empty chairs surrounding her like silent judges. Her sister twirled across the dance floor in the arms of her new husband, investment banker James Whitfield. Olivia's wedding gown, custom designed and worth more than Sophia's yearly salary when she still had a job, sparkled under the lights. The twins shared the same face, the same dark hair, and hazel eyes, yet tonight they couldn't look more different. One radiant in white silk, the other shrinking in borrowed sequins. An aunt passed by, her smile faltering when she spotted Sophia. "Darling, where's your date? I thought surely you'd bring someone." Her gaze lingered on the empty chairs, concern mixing with something that looked too much like pity. Sophia forced a smile, fingers twisting the napkin in her lap. "I came alone." "Oh well," the aunt patted her shoulder. "You'll find someone eventually. Not everyone can be as lucky as Olivia." The words stung with familiar precision. Not everyone can be as lucky as Olivia. The refrain of her life, spoken and unspoken since childhood. Sophia watched her walk away, then reached for her untouched champagne, taking a long sip. 3 tables away, Michael Donovan observed the exchange. He hadn't planned to attend the Whitfield Morgan wedding, but James was an investor in Donovan Medical Technologies, and appearances mattered. The black tie event was just another business obligation, like the board meetings and investor calls that consumed his days. Just hours earlier, he had stood in Mount Auburn Cemetery placing a single white rose on Catherine's grave. 5 years since the accident, and the Saturday ritual remained unchanged. Emma had asked to come with him this morning, but he'd left her with Mrs. Rodriguez instead. His 7-year-old daughter didn't need more reminders of what she'd lost. Sometimes Michael caught her staring at Catherine's photographs with questions in her eyes that he didn't know how to answer. How do you explain to a child that sometimes life takes more than it gives? He adjusted his cufflinks, platinum a gift from Catherine on their last anniversary. The weight of them on his wrists was a comfort, a tangible connection to a life that now existed only in memory. His attention drifted back to the woman in the red dress. He recognized her from the hospital fundraiser last month, not as a guest, but working as a nurse in the pediatric wing, where Donovan Medical Technologies had donated equipment. She'd been efficient and warm with the children, seemingly unaware of who he was. A refreshing change from the usual calculated interactions his wealth attracted. Now she sat alone, dignity wrapped around her like armor, despite the whispers and glances from nearby tables. The family resemblance between her and the bride was unmistakable. Twins, according to the program he'd glanced at earlier. The orchestra shifted into a waltz. The bride and groom took center stage, a flurry of photographs capturing their perfect moment. At the corner table, Sophia's isolation became even more pronounced. A waiter accidentally bumped one of the empty chairs at her table, drawing several gazes and poorly concealed whispers. Without fully understanding his own impulse, Michael crossed the ballroom. Years of boardroom negotiations had taught him to move with purpose, to command attention through presence alone. Heads turned as he approached her table, curiosity flickering across faces. Sophia looked up startled when his shadow fell across her table. Recognition flashed in her eyes, quickly replaced by confusion. Michael leaned down close enough that only she could hear his words, "Pretend you're with me." Her lips parted in surprised, champagne glass suspended halfway to her mouth. "Excuse me? People are watching, trust me." He extended his hand, palm up, an offer, not a demand, despite the authority in his voice. Sophia glanced around, suddenly aware of the attention they were drawing. Her grip tightened on her glass as she assessed him, the tailored tuxedo, the confident stance, the eyes that held neither pity nor expectation. Just a steady calm that somehow cut through the noise of the reception. Her sister swept past on the dance floor, radiant in her perfect moment. A photographer's flash caught the scene, and Sophia felt the weight of comparison crushing down. With a barely perceptible nod, she placed her hand in his. The ballroom seemed to hold its breath as Michael Donovan led the bride's twin sister to the dance floor. His hands settled at the small of her back, respectful but secure. Sophia's posture remained rigid, her smile fixed in place as he guided her into the flow of dancers. "You don't remember me, do you?" His voice was low, meant only for her ears. Sophia looked up, finally meeting his gaze directly. Pediatric Wing Boston General. The donation of the new imaging equipment. You barely looked at the staff, your focus was entirely on the children and the machines. Something like surprise flickered across his features. "You have a good memory." "It's my job to notice details." Her voice caught. "Was my job. Budget cuts 3 months ago." Michael adjusted his lead as they moved through a turn, his steps precise. "I heard about the cuts, politics prioritizing buildings over patient care." Her hand tensed in his. 57 nurses lost their positions. I was one of the newer hires, so... She let the sentence trail off, focusing on the steps of the dance instead. They moved in silence for several measures, finding an unexpected rhythm. Sophia gradually relaxed, though she remained acutely aware of the eyes following them, particularly those of her sister, whose surprise was visible even from across the room. "Why did you do this?" Sophia finally asked, keeping her voice low. "Ask me to dance?" Michael considered his answer carefully. "Because I know what it's like to be the subject of whispers, to be seen as incomplete without someone beside you." The honesty in his response caught her off guard. Before she could reply, the music ended. Michael stepped back, his hand lingering on hers for a moment longer than necessary. With a slight nod, he escorted her back to her table, now surrounded by curious onlookers, who suddenly found reasons to engage her in conversation. He slipped away as the attention shifted to Sophia, retreating to the quiet of the hotel's terrace, where the rain had softened to a gentle mist. The cool air cleared his head, washing away the unexpected moment of connection. He hadn't danced since Catherine. The realization settled heavily on his shoulders. Inside, Sophia found herself suddenly visible, though not entirely in ways she appreciated. Relatives who had barely acknowledged her arrival now approached with eager questions about the mysterious Donovan heir who had singled her out. "How do you know Michael Donovan?" her cousin pressed. "He never attends these events, much less dances with anyone." Sophia offered non-committal responses, uncomfortably aware that her momentary escape from invisibility had come at the price of speculation. When the attention became overwhelming, she excused herself, searching for a quiet corner to catch her breath. She found herself on the same terrace, the night air cool against her flushed skin. Michael stood at the railing, his back to the celebration profile illuminated by the city lights. "Thank you," she said simply, "for the rescue, temporary as it was." He turned, studying her with that same steady gaze that seemed to see more than she was comfortable revealing. "It wasn't entirely altruistic. I needed an escape from James's investment partners." A small, genuine smile touched her lips. "Then we helped each other." For a moment, they stood in companionable silence, the muffled sounds of the reception providing a distant soundtrack. Sophia wrapped her arms around herself against the chill, looking out at the glittering skyline. "You should go back inside. Your dress isn't meant for April nights in New York." His observation was practical, not judgmental. "I should go home, actually." She glanced at her watch. "I need to relieve my friend who's sitting with my mother at the hospital." Michael's expression shifted subtly. "Is she ill?" "Cancer, stage 3. Sophia's voice remained steady, though her fingers tightened around her purse strap. "The treatments are..." She stopped herself. "I'm sorry, you don't need to hear this." "Is she at Boston General?" Sophia nodded, surprised by the question. "The oncology department received new equipment last quarter." His tone was matter-of-fact but not cold. "Dr. Levine is implementing treatment protocols that are showing promising results." "She's not under Dr. Levine. We couldn't... The insurance doesn't cover specialists of that caliber." The admission cost her, but there was something in his direct approach that discouraged pretense. Michael looked as if he might say more, but instead reached into his jacket and retrieved a business card. "If you need anything." Sophia hesitated before accepting it, the heavy cardstock incongruously formal in her fingers. "I should go. Thank you again for the dance." She slipped away before he could respond, vanishing back through the reception to collect her coat. Michael remained on the terrace watching the city lights blur in the gentle rain, thinking about twins with the same face and vastly different fortunes, about hospitals with budget cuts, and about a daughter at home who would already be asleep curled around the stuffed elephant that had once belonged to her mother. 2 days later, Michael stood at the window of his office on the 42nd floor of Donovan Tower. Below Manhattan sprawled in a grid of ambition and concrete tiny figures navigating the Monday morning rush. Behind him, his executive assistant reviewed his schedule. Sheikh Al Fayed's team confirmed the dinner for next month. They're sending their legal department to review the partnership agreement next week. Michael nodded, attention still focused on the city below. And the prototype? Dr. Chen says they have resolved the issue with the microprocessor. The latest tests are promising. She hesitated. Robert Jenkins called again. He wants to discuss the board's concerns before the Sheikh's visit. Michael turned from the window, his expression hardening slightly. Schedule it for Wednesday. I want the latest projections from R&D before I meet with him. The cardiac monitoring device represented 2 years of development and nearly $50 million in research. If successful, it would revolutionize preventative care, particularly in regions with limited access to medical facilities. Sheikh Al Fayed's investment group was prepared to commit $2 billion to scale production and distribution, provided they were convinced of the company's stability and leadership. His assistant nodded, making a note. Also, Mrs. Rodriguez called. Emma's having trouble with the new nanny. She refused to get ready for school this morning. Something in Michael's posture shifted, the CEO momentarily replaced by the father. What happened? Apparently, Emma told the nanny that she wasn't doing it right and locked herself in the art room. Mrs. Rodriguez managed to get her to school, but she thinks this is the third nanny who won't be returning. Michael pinched the bridge of his nose. 3 nannies in 4 months. Emma's resistance was growing stronger, not weaker with time. The child psychologist had warned him this might happen, as Emma approached the age Catherine had been when they first met, as if his daughter was subconsciously marking the milestones her mother would never see. I'll be home for dinner tonight. Tell Mrs. Rodriguez I'll speak with Emma. Left alone in his office, Michael unlocked the bottom drawer of his desk, retrieving a silver frame. Catherine smiled back at him, her arm around a 3-year-old Emma at the beach. The sea breeze had caught her hair golden strands, illuminated by the setting sun. She'd been laughing at something he said, a moment of perfect happiness captured just months before the accident. I'm trying, Kat, he whispered to the photograph, but she needs more than I know how to give. He returned the frame to the drawer as his phone chimed with a notification. The quarterly report from Boston General Hospital's Foundation acknowledging Donovan Medical Technologies' continued support. Images scrolled past new equipment, smiling staff, grateful patients. Michael paused on a familiar face, the woman in red from the wedding. Sophia Morgan, identified in the caption as a former pediatric nurse, now volunteering in the oncology department. The coincidence gave him pause. He set down the phone, turning back to the window. The rain had started again, gentle against the glass, echoing the night of the wedding. Something about her situation nagged at him, the contrast between twins, the struggle evident beneath her dignity. He recognized in her the same determination he'd cultivated after losing Catherine, the mask of composure that hid the weight of responsibilities too heavy to share. His intercom buzzed. Mr. Donovan, Dr. Chen is here with the prototype update. Send him in. Michael straightened his tie, thoughts shifting back to business. The memory of the dance receded, filed away with other moments that belonged to Michael the man, rather than Donovan the CEO. Across the city, Sophia sat beside her mother's hospital bed, reading aloud from a worn paperback. The oncology ward's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows, emphasizing the hollows in her mother's cheeks. Eleanor Morgan had once been vibrant and strong, raising twin daughters alone after their father walked out when they were 8. Now she seemed to disappear into the hospital bedding, tethered to reality by IV lines and monitoring equipment. That's enough for today, Eleanor murmured, eyes heavy with medication. You look tired, sweetheart. Sophia marked the page and set the book aside. I'm fine. How's the pain today? Manageable. The lie was transparent between them. How was your sister's wedding? Beautiful. Olivia was radiant. This truth at least came easily. I took pictures on my phone. I'll show you when you're feeling stronger. Eleanor's gaze sharpened momentarily. And did you enjoy yourself at all? Sophia thought of the dance of strong hands guiding her across the floor of momentary visibility. It had its moments. You deserve more than moments, Sophia. Her mother's fingers closed weakly around hers. Your sister found her path. You will find yours too. Sophia squeezed her hand gently, not trusting herself to respond. Her path had been clear once nursing had been her calling, caring for others as natural as breathing. Now she volunteered between job interviews, stretching her savings thinner each month. The apartment she could no longer afford had been vacated last week, her belongings stored in her friend Megan's garage, while she slept on a pull-out sofa. Dr. Winters mentioned a clinical trial. Sophia kept her voice neutral, not wanting to burden her mother with the reality that they'd already been denied inclusion due to insurance limitations. We'll discuss it at the next appointment. Eleanor's eyes drifted closed, the effort of conversation exhausting her diminished reserves. Sophia continued holding her hand, watching the monitors track her mother's heartbeat in glowing green lines. She thought of the cardiac device Donovan Medical was developing, how many lives it might save, how it wouldn't help her mother, whose cancer had already spread beyond what any monitoring could have prevented. A nurse entered to check Eleanor's vital signs, nodding respectfully to Sophia, professional courtesy between current and former colleagues. Lisa, do you need me to cover any shifts this week? Sophia asked quietly as the nurse updated the chart. Even in a different department. The nurse's expression softened with sympathy. I wish I could help, but the hiring freeze is still in effect. I'll ask around, though. Sophia nodded, grateful for even this small kindness. When the nurse left, she retrieved her phone, checking job listings while her mother slept. Nothing new since yesterday. Her finger hovered over an email from the hospital administration. Another rejection for a position that had opened in geriatrics. Overqualified, they said. Budget constraints, they explained. The truth remained unspoken. They couldn't rehire nurses they just laid off without acknowledging the cuts had been a mistake. A text message appeared from her landlord or former landlord. Final notice about items left in the building storage. She needed to clear them out by Friday or they'd be discarded. Another problem without a solution. Sophia closed her eyes, exhaustion settling into her bones. When she opened them again, her gaze fell on her purse where Michael Donovan's business card remained untouched. Pride had kept her from even looking at it after the wedding. What could a billionaire CEO possibly offer that wouldn't come with complications she couldn't afford? The dance had been a momentary kindness, nothing more. Her mother stirred in her sleep, a small sound of pain escaping despite the medication. Sophia reached for the call button, summoning the nurse back to adjust the dosage. As she watched the lines of discomfort ease from her mother's face, something shifted in her perspective. Pride was a luxury she could no longer afford. She retrieved the business card, studying the embossed lettering. Michael Donovan, CEO, Donovan Medical Technologies. A direct number was handwritten on the back. She slipped the card back into her purse without dialing. Not yet. But the option existed now, acknowledged if not embraced. 3 days later, Eleanor Morgan was rushed into emergency surgery when a scan revealed internal bleeding. Sophia paced the surgical waiting room, hands clasped so tightly her knuckles whitened. The specialist had been brutally honest. Without the surgery, her mother wouldn't survive the night. With it, the prognosis remained grim, but offered a window for additional treatment options. Treatment options they couldn't afford. Megan arrived with coffee and a sandwich that Sophia couldn't bring herself to touch. Any news? Sophia shook her head, resuming her pacing. They said it could be hours. You need to eat something. You've been here since yesterday. I can't. The words came out sharper than intended. Sorry, I can't think about food right now. Megan set the sandwich aside. What did the doctor say about after the surgery? Sophia stopped at the window, looking out at the hospital parking lot where life continued with mundane regularity. There's a new treatment protocol. Targeted immunotherapy combined with modified radiation. The success rates are promising. That sounds hopeful. It would be if we could afford it. Insurance will only cover the standard protocol, which has a 12% success rate with her type of cancer at this stage. Sophia pressed her forehead against the cool glass. The new protocol is showing 68% remission in cases like hers. Megan was quiet for a moment. How much? $300,000 minimum, plus specialized care. Sophia closed her eyes. I've already looked into second mortgages, but there's nothing left to mortgage. Mom used everything for our education and then the first rounds of treatment. What about Olivia now that she's married to James? They're in Bora Bora for 6 weeks, and I'm not going to start their marriage by asking for money. Pride crept back into her voice. Besides, she's already paid for so much. The initial treatments the specialist last year. The conversation faded as Sophia's attention caught on a figure entering the hospital through the main doors visible from the waiting room window. Michael Donovan, unmistakable in a charcoal suit, accompanied by a team in similar business attire. A hospital administrator greeted them with obvious deference, gesturing toward the elevator bank. Sophia watched them disappear inside, an idea forming that both terrified and compelled her. The business card seemed to burn through her purse, an option she'd avoided acknowledging fully. "I need to make a call," she said suddenly. Megan looked surprised. "Now the doctor could come out any minute and it won't take long. I need a minute alone." When Megan stepped out to find more coffee, Sophia retrieved the card with trembling fingers. She stared at the number, the weight of necessity pressing against her pride. 3 deep breaths, then she dialed before she could change her mind. The call went to voicemail, a professional message in Michael's measured tones. The beep caught her unprepared. "Mr. Donovan, this is Sophia Morgan. We met at my sister's wedding last weekend. I'm at Boston General and I saw you arrive. I, I need to speak with you. It's important." She left her number, then ended the call, immediately regretting the impulsive action. What would she even say if he returned her call? "Please help my mother because you danced with me once." The absurdity of it struck her fully, bringing a hysterical edge to the laugh that escaped her lips. She was still standing by the window when her phone vibrated with a text message from an unknown number. "Pediatric Wing Conference Room, be 15 minutes. No signature, but the directness left little doubt about the sender. Sophia glanced at the surgical board, where her mother's procedure still showed in progress. 15 minutes. She could be there and back before any updates. She found Megan returning with a fresh coffee. "I need to take care of something. Can you call me immediately if there's any news?" "Of course, but where are you?" "I'll explain later. 15 minutes, I promise." The pediatric wing was on the opposite end of the hospital complex. Sophia navigated the familiar corridors with practiced efficiency, her volunteer badge granting access where visitor credentials would be questioned. She found the conference room easily. It had been used for staff meetings when she still worked in the department. Michael Donovan stood alone at the window silhouette, backlit by the afternoon sun. He turned as she entered, his expression carefully neutral. "Ms. Morgan, thank you for seeing me." Sophia remained near the door, suddenly uncertain. The conference room felt too intimate, too far removed from the public setting of their previous encounters. "Your message said it was important." No judgment in his tone, just calm expectation. Sophia took a breath, forcing herself to meet his gaze directly. "My mother is in surgery right now. When she comes out, she'll need specialized treatment that insurance won't cover." Understanding dawned in his eyes. "And you're asking for my help?" "I'm asking if there are clinical trials through Donovan Medical, treatment options that might be available." She maintained her dignity through sheer force of will. "I know it's presumptuous to ask, especially since we barely know each other." Michael studied her for a long moment. "What's the diagnosis?" "Stage 3, pancreatic cancer with lymphatic involvement. The standard protocol has a 12% success rate. Clinical terms provided distance a shield against the emotion threatening to overwhelm her. And the recommended treatment? Targeted immunotherapy with modified radiation. Dr. Levine's protocol." She hesitated. "The one you mentioned at the wedding." Michael crossed to the conference table where several folders were arranged precisely. He selected one, opening it to scan the contents. "Eleanor Morgan, admitted last September, 3 rounds of conventional chemotherapy, surgical intervention in December." He looked up. "You've been paying out of pocket for the experimental medications." The realization that he'd already reviewed her mother's case hit Sophia like a physical blow. "You knew who I was before I called." "I recognized your name from the volunteer roster when I reviewed the quarterly foundation report." His tone remained even. "Your mother's case is exactly the type of situation the Donovan Foundation was established to address." Relief threatened to buckle Sophia's knees, but uncertainty kept her rigid. "What does that mean exactly?" "It means the foundation can cover the experimental treatment costs as part of our ongoing research initiatives." He closed the folder. "But there's a complication." Of course there would be. Nothing came without conditions. What kind of complication? Michael's expression shifted subtly. Sheikh Abdullah Al Fayed is bringing his family to New York next month to finalize an investment partnership with Donovan Medical. $2 billion for global distribution of our cardiac monitoring system. He paused. The Sheikh has traditional values regarding family structure. He's expressed concerns about my personal situation. Confusion furrowed Sophia's brow. I don't understand what that has to do with my mother's treatment. I'm a single father in the Sheikh's culture that raises questions about stability and commitment. Michael's direct gaze never wavered. He's bringing his wife and daughters. He expects to meet my family as well. The direction of the conversation was becoming clear, sending a chill down Sophia's spine. You want me to pretend to be part of your family? I need a partner for the duration of their visit, someone who can interact with the Sheikh's family appropriately. His tone was matter-of-fact, as if discussing any business arrangement. Someone who can help create an environment of stability for my daughter. Your daughter. The detail caught her by surprise. Emma, she's 7. For the first time, his composure wavered slightly. She's struggling with the constant rotation of caregivers. The last 3 nannies haven't lasted a month. Sophia tried to process the proposal, if that's what this was. Let me understand. You want me to pretend to be your girlfriend wife? Fiancé would be the most logical presentation. It explains your recent arrival in my life while establishing the commitment the Sheikh would expect to see. Michael maintained his businesslike demeanor, though something in his eyes had softened. 3 months. Public appearance, family dinners with the Sheikh, creating a home environment for Emma. In exchange, your mother receives the full treatment and protocol under Dr. Levine, and the foundation covers all expenses. The clinical precision of the offer made it both more and less terrible. Sophia turned away, needing space from his steady gaze. You're essentially proposing to purchase a temporary family. I'm proposing a mutually beneficial arrangement. He didn't attempt to soften the reality. Your mother gets treatment that could save her life. My company secures funding that will save millions of lives. And my daughter gets stability during a critical period. Sophia wrapped her arms around herself, mind racing through implications. Where would I live during these 3 months? My home has a private guest wing. You would have your own space. He paused. I understand this is unorthodox. Take time to consider it. And if I say no, then we'll explore other options for your mother's treatment. No ultimatum in his voice, but the reality was clear nonetheless. The foundation has limited spaces in the current trial phase. The weight of the decision pressed down on Sophia, a choice that wasn't really a choice at all. Her mother was fighting for her life in an operating room floors below. Pride versus survival, dignity versus necessity. Her phone vibrated, a text from Megan. Doctor coming out soon. I need to get back to the surgical ward. Sophia's voice sounded distant to her own ears. My mother's surgery is finishing. Michael nodded. Of course. He retrieved a folder from the table, extending it to her. The details of what I'm proposing. Review it when you have time. Sophia accepted the folder without opening it. I'll think about it. That's all I ask. His tone remained neutral, but something in his eyes spoke to understanding beyond the business proposal, recognition of the weight she carried. Whatever you decide, the foundation will help your mother. That's not conditional. The unexpected assurance caught her off guard. Thank you. As she turned to leave, his voice stopped her at the threshold. Ms. Morgan, I don't need a fiancé. I need someone who can be a mother to Emma. The simplicity of the statement, stripped of business terminology, revealed the vulnerability beneath his controlled exterior. A father unable to give his daughter what she needed most. Sophia nodded once, not trusting herself to speak, and hurried back toward the surgical wing. Dr. Winters was waiting when she arrived, his expression grave but not defeated. She made it through surgery. We've controlled the bleeding, but the next 48 hours will be critical. Sophia absorbed the information, relief warring with renewed fear. And after the 48 hours, if she stabilizes, we can discuss next steps. His hesitation spoke volumes. I've reviewed the options with Dr. Levine. His protocol offers the best chance, but I have to be honest about the insurance limitations. I understand. Sophia clutched the folder Michael had given her. May I see her? She's in recovery now. Once she's moved to ICU, you can have a few minutes with her. The doctor's hand rested briefly on her shoulder. She's a fighter, Sophia. Don't give up hope. When he'd gone, Sophia sank into a waiting room chair, finally opening the folder. Inside was a formal contract, meticulously detailed. 3 months of pretending to be Michael Donovan's fiancée, living in his home, creating a family facade for his daughter and his business associates. In exchange, comprehensive medical care for her mother under Dr. Levine, a monthly stipend that exceeded her former nursing salary, and accommodations that would solve her housing crisis. The final page contained a personal note in precise handwriting. Your mother will receive treatment regardless of your decision. This is not coercion, merely an opportunity. Sophia closed the folder, emotionally overwhelmed. The gesture was unexpectedly humane, divorced from the transactional nature of the contract itself. It allowed her the dignity of choice, even as circumstances left her with only one real option. A nurse appeared at the doorway. Ms. Morgan, your mother's being moved to ICU. You can see her now. Sophia tucked the folder into her purse and followed, pushing the decision aside to focus on the immediate reality of her mother's fragile condition. Eleanor Morgan lay pale against the hospital sheets, machines monitoring every vital function. Tubes and wires created a technological cocoon around her diminished form. Sophia took her hand, gently, careful not to disturb the IV lines. I'm here, Mom. You did great. She spoke softly, uncertain if her mother could hear through the medication haze. Everything's going to be okay. I've found a way to get you the best treatment. Eleanor's fingers twitched slightly in what might have been response. Sophia continued speaking reassurances, flowing as much for her own benefit as her mother's. Remember how you always told us that sometimes life requires difficult choices, that pride can't keep you warm at night. She stroked her mother's hand. I think I understand that better now. After the allotted visiting time, Sophia reluctantly left the ICU, finding Megan waiting in the corridor. How is she? Megan asked. Stable for now. Sophia's exhaustion was evident in every line of her body. They'll know more tomorrow. You need rest. Come back to my place. Sophia shook her head. I'm staying here tonight, but I need a favor. She hesitated, then pressed forward. Can you bring me my interview suit tomorrow morning, the navy one? Megan looked confused. You have an interview now. Not exactly. Sophia's gaze drifted toward the window where evening shadows had begun to lengthen. A business meeting. Something that might help Mom. Later, alone in the family waiting room that would serve as her bedroom for the night, Sophia reread the contract. Every clause was clear, every expectation defined. A business arrangement with personal implications that terrified and compelled her in equal measure. She thought of her mother fighting for each breath down the hall, of the empty apartment she could no longer afford, of the job applications that led nowhere. Then of Emma Donovan, a 7-year-old girl who had lost her mother and cycled through nannies who weren't doing it right. Sophia took out her phone and composed a text message to the number Michael had used earlier. I'll sign the contract. For my mother. And for Emma. The response came almost immediately. Tomorrow 9 a.m. my office. The address is in the folder. Sophia set aside the phone and stretched out on the waiting room couch, exhaustion finally claiming her. Outside the window, rain began to fall again, droplets racing down the glass like tears echoing the night at the plaza when a dance had set in motion consequences neither participant could have foreseen. The morning sun illuminated the Donovan Tower's glass exterior as Sophia stood in the lobby navy suit, pressed and identity confirmed. A private elevator whisked her to the executive floor where Michael's assistant waited with professional detachment. The transition from a hospital waiting room to corporate heights left Sophia disoriented, her sleep-deprived mind struggling to reconcile these vastly different worlds now colliding in her life. Michael's office matched the man himself, precise, elegant, without unnecessary embellishment. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the Boston skyline, the harbor glinting in the distance. He rose from behind a sleek desk, extending his hand in greeting. Miss Morgan, thank you for coming. Her handshake was firm despite her uncertainty. My mother's condition stabilized overnight. The doctors are cautiously optimistic. Dr. Levine has already been briefed on her case. Michael gestured to the contract laid open on the conference table. I've made one modification. The agreement now includes comprehensive follow-up care for your mother after the 3-month period ends, regardless of outcome. Sophia approached the table, scanning the new clause with careful attention. The consideration behind it caught her off guard, an acknowledgement that her mother's welfare extended beyond the time frame of their arrangement. Why are you doing this? The question escaped before she could reconsider. Michael's expression remained impassive. Because Emma needs someone who understands loss. Someone who won't disappear when things become difficult. His gaze met hers directly. Your dedication to your mother, despite impossible circumstances, suggests you possess that quality. The assessment was clinical but perceptive. Sophia looked down at the contract pen poised above the signature line. And after 3 months, the arrangement concludes. Your mother's care continues. You resume your life with the stipend as agreed. Clean, simple, transactional. The clarity should have been reassuring, yet something in his precision felt hollow. Sophia signed her name, the scratch of the pen against paper sealing a pact neither had anticipated when they danced at her sister's wedding. Michael signed as well, then pressed an intercom button. Amy, please bring in the Collins Foundation documents. His assistant entered with a new set of papers. These authorize your mother's inclusion in the treatment protocol, Michael explained. Dr. Levine is expecting you this afternoon to discuss the specifics. Sophia signed without hesitation, this certainty far easier than the previous one. When the assistant departed, Michael sat across from her, demeanor shifting subtly. There are practical matters we need to discuss. Your possessions? In storage at a friend's garage. Not much, just clothes and some books. The modesty of her worldly goods contrasted sharply with the opulence surrounding them. I'll arrange for them to be moved today. Catherine Reynolds handles my household staff and social calendar. She'll help with your wardrobe and preparation for public appearances. The implication that her current possessions were inadequate stung, though Sophia acknowledged its truth. When do I meet Emma? Something in Michael's expression softened. Tonight, I've arranged for us to have dinner at home. She doesn't know about our arrangement yet. Sophia tensed. You haven't told her? I thought it would be better coming from both of us, a united front. The phrase triggered unexpected anxiety. A united front implied coordination, partnership, a level of intimacy Sophia hadn't prepared for. The clinical nature of their contract suddenly felt insufficient for the human complexity they were about to navigate. What exactly does she know about her mother? The question was necessary but uncomfortable. Michael's hands clasped together on the table, the first sign of tension breaking through his controlled exterior. That Catherine died in an accident 5 years ago. That she loved Emma very much. That nothing could have prevented it. And since then, have there been other arrangements like this one? No. The single syllable carried weight. There have been nannies, professional caregivers, nothing more. Sophia nodded, absorbing this information. I should go to the hospital before meeting with Dr. Levine. My mother will need to understand what's happening. Of course, Michael stood, business concluded. Catherine will meet you at the hospital at 3. She'll bring you home afterward. Home. The word felt foreign, misapplied to a place she'd never seen with people she barely knew. Sophia gathered her purse, reality settling in her stomach like a stone. Where should I tell people I'm going? My friends will ask questions. The truth in part, that you're working as a live-in caregiver for a single father while pursuing new career opportunities. Michael escorted her to the door. The fewer elaborate fabrications, the better. The pragmatism was sound. Sophia paused at the threshold, one final question pressing forward. Does Emma know about the sheikh, about why you need this arrangement? She knows he's an important business partner. Not that his approval hinges on family appearances. Michael's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. She doesn't need the burden of that responsibility. In this, at least, they found immediate agreement. Sophia nodded and departed, the signed contract remaining behind on the conference table, its implications trailing her like shadows as she returned to the hospital. Eleanor Morgan was awake when Sophia arrived, pale but alert, her eyes finding her daughter's immediately. The improvement from the previous night was remarkable. You look terrible, Eleanor murmured, a weak smile softening the assessment. Sophia laughed despite herself, the tension of the morning momentarily broken. That's my line. How are you feeling? Like I've been gutted, which I suppose is accurate. Eleanor's fingers twitched toward her daughter's. The new doctor was here, Levine. He talked about experimental treatments. That's what I need to tell you about. Sophia perched on the edge of the bed, choosing her words with care. I've found a way to get you into Dr. Levine's program. All expenses covered. Eleanor's gaze sharpened. How? I've taken a position, live-in care for a single father and his daughter. The partial truth came easily. The father is Michael Donovan. His foundation is sponsoring your treatment. Donovan Medical. Recognition flickered in Eleanor's eyes. That's quite a coincidence. Not entirely. Sophia hesitated, then forged ahead. I met him at Olivia's wedding. When I learned about his foundation, I approached him. Eleanor studied her daughter's face, years of maternal insight piercing through medication fog. There's more you're not telling me. It's complicated, Mom. Sophia squeezed her hand gently. The important thing is you're getting the treatment you need. Dr. Levine says the success rates are promising. At what cost to you? Eleanor's voice strengthened with concern. 3 months living in a mansion caring for a little girl who needs someone steady in her life. It's hardly a sacrifice. Sophia forced lightness into her tone. I was unemployed and basically homeless as of yesterday. Now I have a job, housing, and your treatment secured. Eleanor didn't look convinced, but exhaustion was claiming her, again eyelids growing heavy. Promise me you're not doing anything you'll regret. I promise I'm doing exactly what needs to be done. The careful phrasing wasn't lost on either of them. Rest now. I'll be back tomorrow with more details about the treatment. Eleanor's eyes closed, medication pulling her under. My practical girl, she murmured, always carrying more than your share. Sophia sat with her mother until sleep deepened, the steady rhythm of monitors providing cold comfort. She told herself this arrangement was simple, a business transaction, with clear boundaries. But sitting beside her mother, watching the evidence of mortality, inscribed in every labored breath, she recognized the emotional complexity she'd committed to. This wasn't just about pretending to be someone's fiancé. It was about becoming something real to a child who'd lost her mother. The gravity of that responsibility settled over her as she made her way to Dr. Levine's office. Catherine Reynolds arrived precisely at 3, her designer suit in immaculate appearance, making Sophia acutely aware of her own wrinkled clothes and exhausted state. The personal assistant's assessment was swift but not unkind. Mr. Donovan mentioned you've been at the hospital all night. We have time for you to refresh before meeting Emma. Her British accent lent additional crispness to already efficient words. The next hours passed in a blur of activity. Catherine orchestrated Sophia's transformation with military precision, a stop at the penthouse suite of a luxury hotel where a hot shower, fresh clothes, and professional hairstyling awaited. The clothes were new, but fit perfectly, tags discreetly removed. Sophia didn't ask how Catherine had determined her size. Emma is 7, but remarkably perceptive, Catherine explained, as they drove toward Beacon Hill in a sleek town car. She notices inconsistencies immediately and doesn't hesitate to point them out. What does she like, dislike? Sophia watched the familiar streets of Boston pass by, feeling increasingly like an imposter in her new attire. She's passionate about art, drawing especially. Dislikes when her routine is disrupted. She's reserved with strangers but fiercely loyal once trust is established. Catherine glanced at Sophia. She misses her mother terribly, though she rarely speaks of her directly. The car slowed before a stately brownstone, its limestone facade standing proudly among equally distinguished neighbors. Not the modern penthouse Sophia had imagined, but a historic home suggesting permanence and heritage. This has been in the Donovan family for 3 generations, Catherine explained, noting Sophia's surprise. Michael's grandfather established the company, though Michael rebuilt it after the tech collapse in the early 2000s. A silver-haired woman opened the door before they reached it, her expression guarded yet dignified. Ms. Reynolds, this must be Ms. Morgan. Mrs. Rodriguez, this is Sophia. She'll be joining the household as we discussed. Catherine's introduction was smooth, revealing nothing of the arrangement's true nature. The housekeeper's nod was polite but reserved. Mr. Donovan called. He's running late but asks that you make yourself comfortable. Emma is in the art room upstairs. The interior revealed tasteful opulence, original woodwork, museum-quality artwork furniture that spoke of comfort rather than showmanship. Sophia followed Mrs. Rodriguez up a sweeping staircase, Catherine departing with promises to return tomorrow. Emma has been informed someone new is arriving, but not the capacity. Mrs. Rodriguez paused outside a doorway, lowering her voice. She has been through much, Miss Morgan. She does not need further disappointment. The protective statement held clear warning. Sophia met the housekeeper's gaze directly. I understand. I'm not here to disappoint her. We shall see. Mrs. Rodriguez knocked gently on the door. Emma, your father's friend has arrived. The art room was awash in afternoon sunlight, windows overlooking a private garden. Easels and art supplies occupied much of the space, evidence of serious investment in a child's passion. At a central table sat a small figure, dark hair falling forward as she concentrated on a drawing. Emma Donovan looked up, her expression guarded. The resemblance to Michael was striking, the same serious eyes, the same careful assessment, but there was something else of fragility beneath the composure that pierced Sophia's heart. Hello, Emma. I'm Sophia. She kept her tone warm but not effusive, instinct warning against overwhelming the child with forced enthusiasm. Emma set down her pencil deliberately. Are you another nanny? The directness caught Sophia off guard. Not exactly. I'm going to be staying here for a while, though. Why? No preamble, no social cushioning. Mrs. Rodriguez moved to intervene. Emma, remember your manners. It's all right. Sophia approached the table, slowly taking in Emma's drawing, a remarkably detailed rendering of the garden below. That's a fair question. I'll be helping your dad with some work and spending time with you, too. Emma studied Sophia with unsettling intensity. The others said that, too. Then they left. The simple statement contained volumes: disappointment, resignation, the weight of repeated abandonment. Sophia pulled a chair opposite Emma, maintaining respectful distance. I can't promise what will happen in the future, she acknowledged. But I can promise to be honest with you now. I'm staying for 3 months. That's the agreement. Something in Emma's posture shifted slightly, perhaps responding to the lack of platitudes. Do you know anything about art? Very little, Sophia admitted, but I'd like to learn if you are willing to teach me. Emma considered this, then pushed a blank sheet of paper across the table. Draw something, anything you want. And the challenge was clear. Sophia accepted the pencil Mrs. Rodriguez silently offered, aware this was a test she couldn't afford to fail. Not artistically, she had no illusions about her abilities there, but in honesty and approach. She began sketching not the garden or anything technically ambitious, but a simple outline of a hospital room, a bed, a figure beneath blankets, another sitting beside it. The drawing was rudimentary but recognizable. This is my mother in the hospital, Sophia explained quietly. She's very sick. That's me beside her. Emma leaned forward, examining the drawing with critical attention. Is she going to die? Mrs. Rodriguez inhaled sharply at the bluntness, but Sophia didn't flinch. The doctors are trying a new treatment. I hope it will help her get better, but I don't know for certain. Emma nodded, accepting this uncertainty with the wisdom of a child who had already confronted life's greatest loss. My mom died in a car accident. A truck driver fell asleep. The matter-of-fact delivery couldn't hide the pain beneath. Sophia nodded, acknowledging both the information and the trust implicit in sharing it. I'm sorry that happened to you. Dad doesn't like talking about her. He keeps her room locked, but I know where the key is. Emma returned to her drawing, adding details to a flowering bush. Sometimes I go in there when no one's watching. The confidence was unexpected, a glimpse into the secret world of a child navigating grief alone. Before Sophia could formulate a response, footsteps sounded in the hallway. Emma's posture straightened immediately, pencil moving with renewed focus. Michael appeared in the doorway, still in his business suit, though he'd loosened his tie. His gaze moved from Emma to Sophia, then to the drawings between them. I see you two have met. His voice carried carefully modulated warmth. Emma continued drawing without looking up. She's staying for 3 months. She already told me. Michael's eyebrow raised slightly at Sophia, who offered a small shrug in response. Emma set down her pencil, finally meeting her father's gaze. Is she your girlfriend? The directness of the question hung in the air. Mrs. Rodriguez busied herself straightening art supplies, though her attention remained firmly on the unfolding scene. Michael crossed to the table, placing a gentle hand on his daughter's shoulder. Sophia is very important to me. She'll be spending a lot of time with us, including at some work functions. That's not what I asked. Emma's perception cut through the evasion. Michael glanced at Sophia, a silent request for assistance. She moved beside him close enough to present unity without suggesting intimacy. Emma, your father and I have known each other for a while. The careful truth felt steadier than outright fabrication. We're still figuring out exactly what to call our relationship. Emma studied them both, her young face serious beyond her years. Are you going to marry him? Mrs. Rodriguez intervened. Emma, that's enough questions for now. It's time to wash up for dinner. The housekeeper ushered Emma from the room, leaving Michael and Sophia in charged silence. When footsteps receded down the hall, Michael exhaled slowly. I'm sorry, she's always been direct. It's better than pretense. Sophia gestured to the drawing Emma had left behind. She's incredibly talented. Catherine was an artist. Emma seems to have inherited her eye. Michael moved to the window, looking out at the garden. I should have prepared her better for this situation. Children adapt more readily than adults sometimes. She told me about going into Catherine's room. Michael turned sharply. What? She knows where the key is hidden. She goes there when no one's watching. Sophia watched his reaction carefully. She said you don't like talking about her mother. Pain flashed across his features before the professional mask resettled. It's difficult to find the balance, keeping Catherine's memory alive without dwelling in grief. Sophia approached the window, standing beside him, but keeping respectful distance. The room saw. Is it still as it was? I haven't changed anything. The admission came reluctantly. It seemed disrespectful somehow. Outside, twilight softened the garden's edges. Inside, the unspoken weight of grief filled the space between them. Sophia considered her response carefully. Maybe it's not about changing things, but about allowing them to evolve. For Emma's sake. Michael's profile remained rigid, giving nothing away. We should join them for dinner. Mrs. Rodriguez is particular about timing. The conversation closed as firmly as a door, but Sophia had glimpsed what lay behind it, a man trapped between preserving the past and building a future, uncertain how to reconcile the two for his daughter's benefit. Dinner proceeded with practiced formality at a table too large for 3 people. Mrs. Rodriguez served, then discreetly withdrew, leaving them to navigate conversation without buffer. Emma watched Sophia with unwavering attention, noting each movement, each interaction with her father. Where will you sleep? Emma asked suddenly, breaking a silence that had stretched uncomfortably long. Michael set down his fork. Sophia will be staying in the guest suite in the East Wing. Not with you. Emma's question held no judgment, merely factual inquiry. No, not with me. Michael's tone remained even, despite the awkwardness. Sophia needs her own space. Emma considered this. Mrs. Peterson said grown-ups who love each other sleep in the same room. Mrs. Peterson, Sophia asked, grateful for any redirection. My teacher. Emma pushed peas around her plate methodically. She got married last year. She said that's what married people do. Michael cleared his throat. Different relationships have different arrangements, Emma. Sophia and I are... He paused, clearly searching for appropriate terminology. Taking things slow, Sophia supplied, meeting Emma's gaze directly. Sometimes adults need time to figure things out even when they care about each other. Emma seemed to accept this explanation, returning to her dinner with renewed focus. The remainder of the meal passed with safer topics. Emma's school project, a fundraiser Michael was attending the following week. Sophia's experience as a nurse, which genuinely interested the child. After Emma was tucked in for the night, Sophia followed Michael to his study, a wood-paneled room lined with books and family photographs. He poured himself a scotch, offering her one with a questioning glance that she declined. That went better than I expected, he acknowledged, settling into a leather chair. Sophia remained standing still, uncomfortable, claiming space in this unfamiliar territory. She's testing boundaries, trying to understand where I fit. And where do you fit? The question held genuine curiosity beneath its professional veneer. That depends on what you need me to be. Sophia moved to the bookshelves, examining the photographs, Michael younger smiling beside a beautiful blonde woman, baby Emma between them. For Emma, I can be a consistent caregiver, or one who listens without judgment. For your business associates, a convincing partner. For the staff, whatever causes least disruption. Michael studied her over the rim of his glass. And for yourself? The question caught her off guard. I haven't considered that part yet. You should. 3 months is significant, even as a temporary arrangement. He set down his drink. Catherine will brief you tomorrow on upcoming events. The Sheikh arrives in 3 weeks. Before then, we have several public appearances to establish the relationship convincingly. The clinical assessment returned them to safer ground. Sophia nodded, professional mode re-engaging. I should review Emma's schedule as well. Daily routines, school events, medical history. Mrs. Rodriguez can provide those details. Emma has mild asthma controlled with medication. No other health concerns. Michael hesitated. She sometimes has nightmares about the accident, though she didn't witness it. That's normal for children processing trauma. Sophia's nursing background provided comfortable footing. Has she seen a therapist? Several. The most recent one suggested art therapy, which seems to help. Michael rose, moving to his desk where he retrieved a folder. These are the details of our public story, how we met, the progression of our relationship. Catherine compiled it based on plausible intersections of our actual histories. Sophia accepted the folder, another contract of sorts. And the staff, what do they know? Mrs. Rodriguez knows the arrangement is temporary and business-related. She doesn't know the specifics. Michael's expression softened slightly. She's protective of Emma. She was Catherine's nanny before we were married. The information clarified the housekeeper's initial coolness. And Catherine knows everything. Her discretion is absolute. Michael glanced at his watch. It's late. You should rest. Your suite is prepared. Catherine arranged for your belongings to be unpacked. The dismissal was polite but firm. Sophia nodded, clutching the folder as she moved toward the door. Thank you for dinner and for arranging my mother's treatment. Dr. Levine will provide weekly updates. If you need to visit her outside scheduled times, just inform Mrs. Rodriguez. Michael remained behind his desk, the professional distance reestablished. Good night, Sophia. The guest suite proved to be larger than Sophia's former apartment, a bedroom with adjoining sitting room and private bath decorated in soothing blues and creams. Her meager possessions had been arranged with respectful care books lined on shelves, clothes hung in the spacious closet. She changed into pajamas and sat on the window seat overlooking the garden, now silvered by moonlight. The folder laid unopened beside her, and inside waited the script of her new life, the fictional relationship that would convince the world, perhaps even Emma, that she belonged in this house with this family. Opening it felt like final surrender to the arrangement. Instead, she retrieved her phone, checking for updates from the hospital. Her mother was resting comfortably. Dr. Levine had visited again, scheduling the first treatment for Monday. Everything proceeding as promised. The price suddenly seemed reasonable, despite the complications already apparent after one evening. 3 months pretending to be someone she wasn't in exchange for her mother's best chance at survival. 3 months caring for a child who needed consistency more than perfection. 3 months living intimately alongside a man who kept his grief locked in a shrine behind a door his daughter had found the key to enter. Sophia finally opened the folder, absorbing the details of her fabricated romance. According to the narrative, they had met 8 months ago at a hospital fundraiser. Michael had been impressed by her dedication to pediatric patients. They had reconnected at Sophia's sister's wedding, where their relationship had deepened. Their engagement was recent but not hasty, the natural progression for two people who recognized something essential in each other. The story was plausible, with enough truth woven through to make it sustainable. Yet as Sophia closed the folder, she wondered what essential truth it might be concealing about Michael, about Emma, about the locked room that preserved a wife and mother in suspended animation, while life continued imperfectly without her. Morning brought Catherine Reynolds in a schedule that transformed abstract arrangement into concrete reality. The personal assistant presented Sophia with a leather-bound planner, a new smartphone, and a credit card bearing her name. The calendar is synchronized across devices. The card is for household and personal expenses, clothing, transportation, and anything required for your role. Catherine's efficiency brooked no argument. Mrs. Rodriguez handles day-to-day household matters. I manage broader logistics and public appearances. Sophia examined the calendar already populated with appointments and events. There's a charity gala next week. Your first public appearance as Michael's fiancée. The wardrobing session is tomorrow. Catherine handed her a tablet displaying elegant evening gowns. These are initial options based on your coloring and build. You'll try several. The transformation from nurse to socialite accelerated over the following days. Sophia established a routine with Emma, breakfast together while Michael took early calls, then seeing the child off to school before focusing on her mother's care and her own preparation. Catherine proved a demanding but effective teacher. Etiquette lessons, introductions to key business associates. Sophia would encounter reviews of Michael's corporate history and philanthropic initiatives. Information delivered in digestible segments, tested with impromptu quizzes that kept Sophia constantly alert. The Sheikh values family loyalty above all else, Catherine explained during one such session. His own marriage was arranged, yet he speaks of his wife with genuine reverence. He will expect to see similar devotion between you and Michael. Devotion can't be manufactured overnight. Sophia reviewed files on the Al Fayed family photographs of the Sheikh with his wife and 3 daughters, all impeccably attired, all reflecting the conservative values Catherine emphasized. It can be conveyed through small gestures. The way you listen when Michael speaks, the anticipation of preferences without prompting. Catherine demonstrated straightening a vase of flowers with practiced precision. The Sheikh notices these details. The focus on performance left little time for Sophia to process the emotional complexity of her position. Each evening brought dinner with Michael and Emma, careful conversation, gradual thawing of initial reservations, the slow building of familiarity without true intimacy. Emma proved the unexpected bridge between them. Her directness cut through pretense, forcing authenticity even within the framework of deception. She began seeking Sophia out after school, sharing artwork, and gradually revealing pieces of her inner world. "This is Whisker," she explained one afternoon, showing Sophia a detailed drawing of a gray cat. "He died last year. Dad said we could get another pet when I'm older." Sophia studied the drawing, recognizing the precision that characterized all Emma's work. "You've captured his expression perfectly. You must have loved him very much. He was Mom's cat first. He used to sleep on her pillow after she died." Emma's matter-of-fact delivery masked the emotional weight. "Sometimes he slept on mine instead." These glimpses into the family's grief came without warning, requiring immediate, honest response. Sophia found herself sharing her own experiences, her father's abandonment, her mother's illness, the constant comparison to her more successful twin. "My sister always seemed to get everything right on the first try," she explained while helping Emma with an art project. "School friends even learning to ride a bike. I fell off so many times my knees were permanently scraped." Emma considered this, carefully selecting a blue pencil for her drawing. "Did you hate her for being better?" "Not hate, no. Sometimes I was jealous." Sophia chose her words carefully. "But mostly I just wanted to find the thing I was good at, my own special talent." "Like nursing?" "Exactly like nursing." Sophia smiled, watching Emma add delicate shading to her creation. "Everyone has their own gifts. Your art, for example. That's something uniquely yours." These conversations created unexpected intimacy, a foundation of trust developing between woman and child that transcended their artificial connection. Sophia found herself genuinely invested in Emma's well-being, thinking about her even during hospital visits with her mother. Eleanor Morgan's treatment had begun in earnest, Dr. Levine's protocol already showing promising early indicators. During their visits, Sophia carefully edited her descriptions of life at the Donovan household, emphasizing Emma's artistic talent in the comfortable accommodations while minimizing the complexities of her arrangement with Michael. "You're holding something back," Eleanor observed during one such visit, her perceptiveness undiminished by treatment. "This arrangement with Donovan, it's more complicated than you've admitted." Sophia adjusted her mother's blankets, buying time. "It's just unconventional. Emma is still grieving her mother. Michael is focused on an important business deal. I'm helping them both through a transition period." Eleanor studied her daughter's face. "And what about you? Who's helping you navigate this situation?" The question lingered as Sophia returned to Beacon Hill that evening, arriving just as Emma's asthma attack struck. She found Mrs. Rodriguez attempting to administer an inhaler to the panicked child Michael, out at a board meeting, unreachable by phone. "Emma, look at me." Sophia knelt beside the wheezing child nurse's training, engaging automatically. "I need you to try to breathe slowly. Can you do that with me?" Emma's frightened eyes fixed on Sophia, her small chest heaving with effort. Mrs. Rodriguez hovered anxiously, the inhaler clutched in her hand. "Let me." Sophia took the medication, holding it properly. "Emma, we're going to count together. When I reach 3, you'll breathe in deeply as I press this. 1, 2, 3. The medication delivery was smooth, practiced. Sophia continued talking softly, maintaining eye contact as Emma's breathing gradually stabilized. When the worst had passed, she gathered the child against her, feeling small arms wrapped tightly around her neck. "I was scared," Emma whispered against Sophia's shoulder. "I know, but you did beautifully." Sophia rubbed gentle circles on her back. Sometimes being brave means being scared, but doing what needs to be done anyway. Mrs. Rodriguez watched the interaction with new respect in her eyes. "I'll prepare her bed with the humidifier." When Michael returned home an hour later, he found Sophia sitting beside Emma's bed, reading quietly while the child slept peacefully. He paused in the doorway, taking in the scene with unreadable expression. "Mrs. Rodriguez told me what happened." His voice was low, careful not to disturb his daughter. "Thank you for being here." Sophia closed the book, rising to join him in the hallway. "Her medication needs adjusting. The current dosage isn't sufficient. I'll call her doctor in the morning." Michael glanced back at Emma's sleeping form. "She seems comfortable with you?" Children respond to consistency and genuine care. Sophia met his gaze directly, even when the situation is unconventional. Michael's expression shifted subtly. "Would you join me downstairs? There are matters we should discuss before the gala tomorrow." In his study, Michael poured 2 glasses of wine, offering one to Sophia, without the questioning glance of previous evenings. She accepted, settling into the chair opposite his. "The gala will be our first significant public appearance," he began, tone measured. "Several board members will be present, including Robert Jenkins, who has expressed concerns about my leadership since Catherine's death." "Concerns based on what?" Sophia sipped the wine, allowing its warmth to ease the tension of the evening. "My emotional stability," as he phrases it. Michael's jaw tightened momentarily. "Jenkins believes grief compromises decision-making. He's lobbied to restrict my authority on the Sheikh Al-Fayed negotiation." The personal admission revealed vulnerability beneath the controlled exterior. "And does it compromise your decisions?" Michael considered the question with unexpected seriousness. "Grief clarifies priorities. The cardiac monitoring system we're developing could prevent thousands of deaths like Catherine's people who show no symptoms until it's too late." His fingers traced the edge of his glass. "Jenkins sees only risk. I see necessity." Sophia recognized the mission beneath the business language, a husband channeling loss into purpose, seeking meaning through innovation that might spare others similar pain. "What do you need from me tomorrow night?" The question was practical, redirecting them to immediate concerns. Confidence, engagement with board members and their spouses, the appearance of a supportive partnership. Michael set down his glass. "Catherine will brief you on key personalities, but your natural instincts with Emma suggest you'll navigate the social aspects effectively." The compliment, unexpected from his usually reserved demeanor, brought warmth to Sophia's cheeks. "And physically, how should we present ourselves?" Something shifted in Michael's expression, awareness of the intimate territory they approached. Comfortable in each other's space, occasional contact that appears natural rather than performative. "We should practice." The suggestion escaped before Sophia could reconsider, surprise registering in Michael's raised eyebrow. "If we're to appear convincingly engaged, we can't be awkward about basic physical proximity." Michael set his glass aside, considering her with new attention. "That's logical." Sophia rose, extending her hand. "Stand up." He complied, towering several inches above her, even in her heels. Sophia stepped closer, eliminating the careful distance they'd maintained during their brief interactions. "Your hand should rest here." She guided his palm to the small of her back. Not too possessive, but suggesting familiarity. Michael's touch remained light, professional, despite the intimate instruction. "Like this, yes, and I would naturally—" Sophia placed her hand on his chest, feeling the steady heartbeat beneath expensive fabric. "This suggests connection without being inappropriate for public settings." Their bodies aligned with unexpected ease, the awkwardness Sophia had anticipated failing to materialize. Instead, a different tension emerged, awareness of physical compatibility that transcended their contractual arrangement. "We should be able to communicate silently," Michael observed, voice lower than before. "Engaged couples develop shorthand, eye contact that conveys private understanding." Sophia met his gaze directly, suddenly conscious of their proximity, of his hand warm against her back. "Like this." Something unscripted flickered between them. Recognition, possibility, mutual acknowledgement of complications neither had anticipated when signing their agreement. Michael broke the connection, first stepping back with practiced composure. That should be sufficient. The moment dissolved professional boundaries reinstated with silent mutual consent. Sophia retreated to safer conversational territory. Catherine mentioned that Sheikh's wife and daughters will attend the dinner next month. I should prepare to engage with them specifically. Mrs. Al-Fayed is highly educated literature and history. The daughters are university-age, studying in London, but very traditional in values. Michael resumed his seat, control fully restored. Catherine will arrange appropriate attire for each interaction. The remainder of their discussion focused on logistics, transportation to the gala, expected duration, key introductions. When Sophia finally retired to her suite, she found herself replaying the brief physical contact, analyzing her unexpected response to it. The arrangement was business, the relationship professional, the engagement fictional. Yet something authentic had sparked in that unguarded moment, something neither had accounted for in their careful calculations. The following evening transformed abstraction into reality as Sophia descended the stairs in an emerald gown, selected by Catherine, diamond drop earrings catching the light. Michael waited in the foyer, conversation with Mrs. Rodriguez, halting as he turned to observe her approach. Something in his expression shifted, professional appreciation deepening into genuine admiration. "You look remarkable." The simple compliment carried weight beyond its words. Sophia touched the unfamiliar jewelry self-consciously. Catherine's selections, the earrings, were my grandmother's. Michael completed the thought. Catherine thought they would complement the dress. The significance wasn't lost on Sophia. Family jewelry suggested authenticity, commitment beyond theatrical display. Before she could respond, Emma appeared at the top of the stairs in pajamas, Mrs. Rodriguez following with resigned expression. "You look like a princess," Emma declared, studying Sophia with critical artist's eye. "The green matches your eyes." Sophia smiled, grateful for the child's straightforward assessment. "Thank you. I'm sorry we'll miss bedtime story tonight. Dad promised you'll both come say goodnight when you get home." Emma's gaze shifted to her father, confirmation sought in his expression. Michael nodded, the gesture unhesitating. "No matter how late, I promise." The exchange revealed evolving dynamics, Emma's acceptance of Sophia's place in their routine, Michael's integration of her into family commitments. Small shifts with significant implications for their 3-month arrangement. In the car, Michael briefed her on final details. The charity benefiting children's cancer research, key board members in attendance, specific topics to emphasize or avoid. His hand found hers as they approached the venue, a seemingly automatic gesture that nonetheless sent unexpected warmth through Sophia's fingers. "Ready?" he asked as the car slowed before a red carpet lined with photographers. Sophia took a steadying breath, squeezing his hand briefly. "As ready as I'll ever be." Cameras flashed as Michael helped her from the car, his hands settling naturally at her back, guiding her forward. The practiced movement felt suddenly genuine, his steady presence anchoring her as they entered the spotlight together. "Michael Donovan," a reporter stepped forward with microphone extended. "Is this your first public appearance with your new fiancé?" Michael's arm tightened slightly around Sophia's waist, protective rather than possessive. "Yes, though we've preferred keeping our relationship private until recently." "How did you meet?" Another question from the press line. Sophia answered, this time the prepared script flowing naturally. "At a hospital fundraiser last year, though I think I made more of an impression on the pediatric patients than on him initially." The light response earned appreciative chuckles. Michael's genuine smile suggesting approval of her handling. They moved smoothly into the gala, a united front navigating the curious gazes and whispered assessments of Boston's elite. Inside, Catherine's preparation proved invaluable as Sophia recognized key figures from her briefing materials. Michael introduced her with practiced ease, his hand maintaining contact at her back or elbow, the physical connection appearing natural rather than staged. Sophia was a pediatric nurse before joining the Donovan Foundation. He explained to the hospital board chairman, pride evident in his tone. Her practical experience has been invaluable in assessing program effectiveness. The fiction blended seamlessly with truth, Sophia's medical background providing authentic foundation for conversations about the charity's mission. She found herself genuinely engaged, professional knowledge, enabling contributions beyond decorative accompaniment. Michael rarely brings dates to these functions, observed an elegant older woman who introduced herself as a longtime family friend. You must be quite special to have captured his attention. I believe we recognize something essential in each other. Sophia responded, borrowing language from their prepared narrative, but infusing it with unexpected sincerity. Sometimes connection arrives when least expected. Across the room, Michael conversed with board members, his gaze finding hers periodically, as if maintaining silent communication despite physical distance. The promised shorthand developing without conscious effort. Robert Jenkins proved exactly as Catherine had described, distinguished, articulate, with ambition, thinly veiled beneath collegial demeanor. His assessment of Sophia was thorough but not unkind. Michael has been solely focused on work since Catherine's passing, he noted, watching her reaction carefully. We've all been concerned about his isolation. Grief follows its own timeline, Sophia replied, meeting his gaze steadily. Moving forward doesn't mean forgetting what matters. Jenkins studied her with new interest. Indeed. And what matters to you, Ms. Morgan? Authentic connection, contributing meaningfully to others' well-being. She smiled, the truth providing solid footing, and currently helping Michael achieve his vision for healthcare innovation. A diplomatic answer. Jenkins sipped his champagne. I look forward to seeing how your influence shapes his approach to the Sheikh Al Fayed negotiation. The comment revealed more than intended Jenkins' awareness of the connection between Michael's personal life and the business partnership, his assessment of Sophia as potentially influencing outcomes beyond social appearances. When Michael rejoined her, she relayed the conversation in quiet tones, his expression tightening at Jenkins' implied interest. He's fishing for leverage. The board meeting yesterday was contentious. What aren't you telling me? Sophia kept her voice low, champagne glass raised to provide cover for serious discussion. Michael guided her toward a quieter corner, body angled to shield their conversation from curious observers. Jenkins believes the cardiac monitor targets too narrow a market. He wants to focus on more profitable applications with guaranteed returns. But that would delay release of the current version. Sophia connected implications immediately. The one that could save lives now. Exactly. Michael's hand tightened briefly around his glass, the only outward sign of his frustration. The Sheikh's investment would allow us to proceed without board interference, but Jenkins is positioning alternatives in case that falls through. The business conflict suddenly clarified their personal arrangements, stakes lives hanging in the balance. Innovation that could prevent tragedies like Catherine's death depended on convincing a traditional businessman of Michael's stability. Sophia placed her hand on Michael's arm, the gesture natural despite its calculated visibility. Then we ensure it doesn't fall through. Something shifted in Michael's expression, gratitude mixed with something deeper, recognition of unexpected alliance beyond contractual obligation. His hand covered hers, briefly warm and solid. We should circulate, he murmured, professional focus returning. The hospital director wants to introduce you to donors interested in pediatric care. The remainder of the evening passed in careful navigation of social currents, Sophia growing increasingly comfortable in her role. By midnight, when they finally departed, she had established herself convincingly as Michael's partner, engaged in his business interests, knowledgeable about his foundation work, comfortable in his social circle. In the car returning home, Michael loosened his tie with a sigh of relief. You were remarkable tonight. Several board members always commented on how refreshing they found your perspective. Refreshing meaning what exactly? Sophia slipped off her heels, feet aching after hours of standing. Authentic, present, not simply decorative. His appreciation seemed genuine. Most partners at these functions are either bored or calculating. You appear genuinely interested in the foundation's work. I am interested. Sophia turned to face him more directly. What you're developing could help thousands of patients. As a nurse, how could I not care about that outcome? Michael studied her in the dim light of the car's interior, something unguarded in his expression. This arrangement, it's proving more complex than I anticipated. The acknowledgement hung between them, neither elaborating on implications that extended beyond professional partnership. When the car arrived at Beacon Hill, Michael helped her from the vehicle, his hand lingering on hers a moment longer than necessary. True to his promise, they checked on Emma together, finding her asleep, surrounded by sketches, apparent attempts to capture Sophia in the emerald gown from memory. The child had waited up as long as possible before succumbing to sleep. Michael gathered the drawings, carefully setting them on her nightstand. His fingers brushed a strand of hair from Emma's forehead with infinite tenderness, the gesture revealing the depth of love beneath his reserved exterior. She has your focus, Sophia observed quietly as they left the room, the same concentration when working on something important. Catherine always said she had my stubbornness and her creativity. A rare mention of his late wife offered without the usual tension, an occasionally challenging combination. They paused in the hallway, the house quiet around them. Sophia found herself aware of their isolation, of the intimacy created by shared observation, of a sleeping child, of evening formal wear and lowered voices. Thank you for tonight. Michael's voice remained low, mindful of the sleeping household. For making our arrangement seem real, Sophia supplied when he hesitated. Seamless. He amended, though the distinction felt significant. Jenkins will report favorably to the board, which strengthens our position with the sheikh. Business, contract, arrangement. The terminology reinstated professional boundaries, yet something had shifted between them. Understanding deepening beyond transactional parameters. Good night, Michael. Sophia stepped back, creating necessary distance. I'll see you in the morning. In her suite, she carefully removed the diamond earrings, family heirlooms, entrusted to maintain their facade. Yet as she placed them in their velvet box, Sophia acknowledged the growing complication in her own emotions. The arrangement had been clear on paper. In practice, lines were blurring between performance and authentic response, between contractual obligation and genuine care. For Emma's welfare, for her mother's treatment, for Michael's business success, she had committed to play a role convincingly. The unexpected development was how natural that role began to feel, how easily she slipped into the space created for her in their lives. 3 months, she reminded herself, staring at her reflection as she removed the evening's makeup. Temporary by design, regardless of how comfortable it might become. She would help Emma support Michael's business negotiations, ensure her mother's treatment continued. And then she would leave as agreed from the beginning, step away from the family she was not truly part of, regardless of how convincingly she might appear to belong. Morning light filtered through Emma's bedroom window as she carefully arranged art supplies on her desk, methodically placing each pencil in order of shade. Sophia watched from the doorway, struck by the deliberate precision of the child's movements. Is today the day you'll teach me to draw properly? Sophia stepped into the room, setting down the breakfast tray she'd prepared. Emma had requested a special art breakfast to begin their Saturday together. Emma considered the question with typical seriousness. Maybe, you're still pretty bad. Her assessment was factual without malice. But you're getting better at looking. Looking, Sophia arranged the breakfast items, cinnamon toast cut into precise triangles, strawberries sliced into stars using the cookie cutter. Emma loved. Mom always said drawing isn't about the hand, it's about how you see things. Emma selected a pencil, twirling it between small fingers. You have to look at what's really there, not what you think is there. The insight caught Sophia off guard, wisdom beyond Emma's years preserved like a time capsule from her mother's teachings. In the 6 weeks since Sophia had moved into the Donovan household, these moments had become increasingly frequent glimpses of Catherine's influence emerging through her daughter, shaping the child despite her absence. Emma began sketching as she ate, the habit so ingrained that Sophia no longer tried to enforce the food only at meals rule Mrs. Rodriguez had initially insisted upon. Instead, Sophia had adapted, providing napkins and keeping art supplies at a safe distance from breakfast. Dad's working in his study again. Emma made the observation without looking up from her drawing. He promised to take us to the harbor today, but he's doing business calls. The disappointment beneath the statement was clear. Michael had indeed promised a Saturday outing, rare in his tightly scheduled life. But an urgent call from Tokyo had come at dawn, complications with the manufacturing partner for the cardiac monitor's components. He'll finish as soon as he can, Sophia assured her, though uncertainty lingered. Michael's work consumed him, especially as the sheikh's visit approached. Only 2 weeks remained before the Al-Fayed family arrived, and tension in the household mounted daily. That's what the nannies always said, too. Emma's pencil moved with deliberate strokes, creating what appeared to be a small boat on water. But sometimes soon means never. The assessment contained painful truth. Sophia perched on the edge of the bed, considering her response carefully. Your father is working on something very important that could help many people. But you're important too. Would you like me to speak with him, Muhammad? Emma looked up, surprise registering before caution reasserted itself. Would you really? He doesn't like being interrupted during business calls. For you, I think he'd make an exception. Sophia stood smoothing her casual weekend attire jeans in a simple blouse that felt like her own skin after weeks of Catherine's selected wardrobes for public appearances. Finish your breakfast. I'll be right back. Michael's study door remained closed, his voice a low murmur behind it as he navigated complex negotiations across time zones and cultural differences. Sophia hesitated, Emma's doubt echoing in her mind. The boundary between her role as temporary caregiver and her position as fictional fiancé blurred in these moments. What authority did she truly have to intervene in Michael's parenting decisions? Before she could resolve this internal debate, the study door opened. Michael emerged, phone pressed to his ear, expression tightening momentarily at finding Sophia in the hallway. I'll need those figures before the Tokyo exchange opens. He covered the microphone briefly. Is everything all right with Emma? She's wondering about the harbor outing you promised. Sophia kept her voice low but direct. She's drawing boats while she waits. Something shifted in Michael's expression, recognition of competing responsibilities of a promise that mattered to his daughter. He nodded once, then uncovered the microphone. Yamamoto-san, I need to reschedule the remainder of this call. My family is waiting for me. Please email the projections and we'll reconnect on Monday. The decisive ending of his business call surprised Sophia. Michael tucked the phone away, running a hand through slightly disheveled hair. Has she had breakfast? Art breakfast in her room. Sophia studied him, noting the shadows beneath his eyes. You've been working since 5 a.m. The Tokyo team identified an issue with the microprocessor. He sighed, shoulders dropping slightly, as business posture gave way to fatigue. It's resolved now, but required immediate attention. Emma understands more than you might think. Sophia matched his quiet tone. She knows your work helps people, but she also needs to know she comes first sometimes. Michael held her gaze, something vulnerable beneath his usual reserve. She does come first, always, even when it doesn't appear that way. Then tell her that. Better yet, show her. Sophia gestured toward Emma's room. She's waiting for you. For a moment, Michael didn't move. Then he reached out his fingers, brushing Sophia's hand in a gesture both gratitude and acknowledgement. Thank you for reminding me of what matters. The simple touch sent warmth cascading through Sophia's arm, awareness of growing connection beyond their arranged parameters. She stepped back slightly, maintaining necessary distance. I'll get ready for the harbor. Emma wants to see the sailboats. The day unfolded with unexpected perfection. Michael, fully present, phone relegated to his pocket, tension focused on his daughter. They walked the harbor front, Emma sketching boats, while Michael explained different vessel types with surprising knowledge. Sophia captured photographs, preserving moments of genuine connection between father and daughter. Lunch at a seafood shack brought easy conversation, Emma gradually relaxing into her father's undivided attention. The child's laughter rare enough that each occurrence felt like victory emerged when Michael recounted sailing mishaps from his own childhood. Your grandfather was furious when I capsized his new dinghy. Michael smiled at the memory traces of the boy he'd been briefly visible beneath a controlled executive exterior, until he realized I'd done it trying to rescue a turtle tangled in fishing line. Did the turtle live? Emma leaned forward, invested in the outcome decades later. It did. We named him Ferdinand and released him near the Cape. Michael's expression softened. Your mother painted a picture of him from my description. It hung in our first apartment. The casual mention of Catherine, offered without the usual tension, marked subtle evolution. Sophia observed the exchange, silently aware of healing, slowly taking root in these small moments of shared memory. As afternoon shadows lengthened, they found themselves in the public garden. Emma chasing ducks, while Michael and Sophia settled on a bench overlooking the water. Distance from the household, from business pressures and medical concerns, created space for conversation that had eluded them amid daily logistics. She seems happier today. Sophia watched Emma kneel to examine something in the grass sketchbook ever present at her side. More like a 7-year-old should be. Michael nodded, gaze fixed on his daughter. She reminds me so much of Catherine sometimes, the way she tilts her head when considering a drawing, the serious expression when concentrating. His voice carried wonder rather than grief. But her determination, that's distinctly her own. She's extraordinary. Sophia meant it sincerely. Her perception, her resilience. She sees things most adults miss. including the truth about us. Michael's question came quietly and unexpected in its directness. Sophia turned toward him, uncertain how to respond. What do you mean? She asked me this morning if you were going to stay. Not just for the 3 months, but permanently. Michael's gaze remained on Emma, though his words focused intently on Sophia. She's becoming attached despite knowing our arrangement has an expiration date. The reality they'd avoided discussing directly now demanded acknowledgement. Sophia watched a fallen leaf trace circles in the pond, buying moments to organize her thoughts. Children form attachments naturally. It doesn't mean we've failed in maintaining appropriate boundaries. The professional assessment felt inadequate even as she offered it. What did you tell her? That the future isn't always something we can predict or control. Michael finally looked at her directly. That what matters is being fully present in the moments we're given. Philosophical words from a man usually defined by precision and planning. Sophia wondered if they reflected his own shifting perspective or merely a convenient explanation for his daughter. And was she satisfied with that answer? Sophia kept her tone neutral despite the tightness forming in her chest. She said it sounded like something adults say when they don't know what's going to happen. A small smile touched Michael's lips. She's perceptive, as you noted. Before Sophia could respond, Emma returned breathlessly, presenting a perfect yellow leaf she'd discovered. The conversation suspended as they admired her find the unresolved question of attachments and futures, settling between them like the leaf itself, beautiful temporary subject to changing winds. That evening, after Emma was asleep, Sophia found herself drawn to the locked door at the end of the West Wing corridor. Catherine's room preserved exactly as she'd left it, according to Michael. Emma's revelation that she sometimes entered this shrine to her mother nagged at Sophia, raising questions about healthy grieving versus suspended animation of pain. She wasn't prepared for Michael to find her standing there, hand raised, as if to knock on a door that no longer functioned as an entrance, but as a barrier. It's not locked. His voice startled her, though he'd spoken softly. Not anymore. Sophia turned, embarrassment coloring her cheeks. I wasn't going to. It's all right. Michael approached each step measured as he closed the distance between them. I unlocked it last week, after our conversation about allowing things to evolve. The revelation suspended Sophia's breath momentarily. Have you been inside, briefly, to open the windows? Michael stood beside her now, close enough that she could detect his aftershave subtle cedar notes that had become familiar over their weeks together. Would you like to see? The invitation hung between them, weighted with significance beyond mere curiosity. Sophia hesitated, uncertain if entering this space constituted boundary crossing no contract could adequately address. Only if you're comfortable with it. She studied his expression, searching for reluctance beneath the offer. Michael reached past her, turning the handle with deliberate motion. The door opened silently, revealing a room bathed in moonlight from uncurtained windows. He stepped aside, allowing Sophia to enter first. Catherine's space unfolded like a time capsule, tasteful decor in creams and blues, a reading chair angled toward the garden view bookshelves, lined with art volumes and literary classics. An easel stood in the corner, a half-finished painting still clipped to its sailboats on blue water, remarkably similar to Emma's recent drawings. She was working on this the week before the accident. Michael remained near the doorway, allowing Sophia to explore independently. A scene from our last summer on Cape Cod. Sophia moved carefully through the room, hyper-aware of intruding in sacred space. Photographs lined the dressing table, Catherine with baby Emma Catherine and Michael on their wedding day family moments, preserved in silver frames. The woman's smile radiated warmth even from static images, her resemblance to Emma unmistakable. She was beautiful. Sophia offered the observation softly without jealousy or comparison. She was extraordinary. Michael stepped further into the room, moving to the easel with practiced familiarity. Talented, compassionate, impatient with pretense. She would have liked you. The assessment caught Sophia off guard, unexpected connection between past and present. What makes you say that? Your directness. The way you see Emma as a person, not simply a child requiring management. Michael traced the edge of the unfinished canvas, not quite touching the paint. Catherine believed in addressing reality, not convenient fictions. Irony shadowed the statement given their current arrangement, a convenient fiction constructed for business purposes evolving into something neither had anticipated. Sophia approached the easel, standing beside Michael as they both regarded the incomplete artwork. Emma has her talent. Sophia noted the similarity in brushwork to the child's drawing style, and her eye for detail, and her mother's heart. Michael's voice carried something beyond grief. Now pride, gratitude, acceptance of continuity between what was lost and what remained. Catherine believed art wasn't about recreation but revelation, seeing what others miss. Like mother, like daughter. Sophia smiled softly. Emma says I'm getting better at looking. You are. Michael's gaze shifted from the painting to her face, the simple assessment carrying layers of meaning neither was prepared to fully examine. At seeing what matters, the moment stretched between them, moonlight silvering the room's edges, the presence of Catherine's memory, creating not division, but unexpected connection. Sophia became acutely conscious of their proximity of conversation, venturing beyond safe parameters of their agreement. Why did you unlock the door? She asked the question that truly mattered, seeking understanding beyond gesture. Michael considered his response carefully, gaze returning to the unfinished painting. Because keeping it locked wasn't preserving Catherine. It was preserving my grief in amber, unchanging and unhealed. His voice steadied as he continued. Emma deserves memories of her mother that live and breathe, not a shrine behind a locked door. The insight revealed evolution beyond what their contract had demanded, genuine healing, beginning to take root in the soil Sophia had only intended to temporarily tend. She stepped back slightly, needing physical distance to maintain emotional clarity. Thank you for showing me. She moved toward the doorway, recalibrating boundaries that continued to shift beneath their careful choreography. We should both get some rest. Catherine scheduled final preparations for the Sheikh's visit beginning tomorrow. Michael nodded, allowing the retreat without comment. As Sophia reached the threshold, his voice stopped her. She kept a journal. I've never read it. It felt too private, even after... He didn't complete the thought. But perhaps Emma should have it someday, when she's older. The confidence touched Sophia deeply, trust extended beyond their agreement into territory of family legacy and personal intimacy. That's a beautiful gift to save for her. I wouldn't have considered it before you came. The admission hung in the air between them, acknowledgement of change neither had sought but both now navigated. Good night, Sophia. She closed the door softly behind her, the click of the latch marking transition rather than closure. In her suite, Sophia found herself unable to sleep, mind replaying the day's events, Emma's laughter at the harbor, Michael ending business calls for family time, the unlocked door and unfinished painting, evolution occurring within their constructed reality, genuine connection flowering within artificial framework. Her phone chimed with a text from Dr. Levine. Her mother's latest test results showed continued improvement, treatment progressing better than projected. Concrete evidence that their arrangement delivered its promised benefits, validation of her decision 6 weeks earlier. Yet as Sophia finally drifted towards sleep, it wasn't the medical victory that occupied her thoughts, but Emma's question to Michael that morning: was Sophia going to stay? The contractual answer remained clear. 3 months, then departure. The emotional answer grew increasingly complex with each passing day, each moment of connection that transcended their careful parameters. Morning brought Catherine Reynolds and renewed focus on the Sheikh's impending visit. The personal assistant arrived with garment bags and detailed itineraries, the household shifting into heightened preparation mode. The Sheikh and his family arrived Thursday evening. They'll stay at the Four Seasons, but Friday's dinner will be hosted here. Catherine reviewed schedules with military precision. The house staff has been doubled for the event. Mrs. Rodriguez is coordinating menus that respect their dietary preferences while showcasing American hospitality. Sophia absorbed details, increasingly confident in her role after weeks of preparation. And Emma will join for the initial greeting, then have dinner separately with the Sheikh's youngest daughter, who is 13. Catherine made a note on her tablet. This was specifically requested by Mrs. Al-Fayed. She believes family inclusion demonstrates proper values. The logistics continued throughout the day: final fittings for Sophia's wardrobe selections, reviews of culturally appropriate conversation topics, briefings on the business discussions Michael would conduct with the Sheikh, while Sophia entertained his wife and daughters. By evening, mental fatigue had set in. Sophia retreated to the garden, seeking moments of quiet before dinner. She found Emma already there, sketchbook open, as she captured the climbing roses in careful detail. "May I see?" Sophia settled beside her on the stone bench, respecting the child's right to privacy with her artwork. Emma considered the request before carefully turning the sketchbook. The drawing revealed remarkable attention to detail, each rose petal distinct shadows precisely rendered. "This is extraordinary, Emma." Sophia studied the technique, recognizing growth even in the weeks she'd known the child. "You've captured the light perfectly." "I'm making a book for Dad." Emma turned pages revealing earlier drawings, the harbor from their weekend outing, Michael standing at the water's edge, Sophia laughing at something beyond the frame, of things that make him happy. The project's thoughtfulness caught Sophia's heart. "That's a wonderful gift. When will you give it to him?" "After the important people leave, when he's not so worried all the time." Emma returned to her current drawing, adding definition to a leaf with careful strokes. "He smiles more now that you're here. Not the work smile, but the real one." The observation, delivered with childlike directness, penetrated Sophia's careful emotional boundaries. "I'm glad. Your dad deserves real smiles. Are you going to marry him?" Emma didn't look up from her drawing, the question presented with the same casual attention she gave to selecting pencils. "For real, not just pretend." The question froze Sophia momentarily. "What makes you think we're pretending?" Emma's pencil paused, her expression shifting to one of adult exasperation with childish oversight. "I heard Mrs. Rodriguez talking to Catherine about the contract and the shake and Mom's treatment." Her focus returned to the drawing. "Adults think children don't listen, but we do." The revelation altered everything. Their careful choreography exposed the fiction, transparent to the one person they'd most intended to protect. Sophia struggled for appropriate response, professional training, inadequate for this unanticipated development. "Emma," she began cautiously, "sometimes grown-ups make arrangements that are complicated. I know what a contract is." Emma added, shading to a rose petal with deliberate pressure. "You stay with us, so the sheikh will give Dad money for his heart machines, and Dad pays for your mom's medicine. And everyone pretends it's real, so no one gets upset." The concise summary, delivered without emotion, struck Sophia with the force of accusation, though none was intended. The child's perception cut through pretense to the transactional core of their arrangement. "That's partly true," Sophia acknowledged, respecting Emma's intelligence too much for further deception. "But not everything is pretend." Emma looked up, finally studying Sophia with penetrating seriousness. "Which parts are real?" The question demanded truth beyond contractual parameters. Sophia considered her answer, carefully aware of responsibility to both Emma and Michael. "My care for you is real. My respect for your father is real." Sophia held the child's gaze steadily. "The time we spend together, drawing, reading, talking about your mom, all of that is real." Emma absorbed this expression, thoughtful rather than wounded. "But you're still leaving when the contract ends." "That was the agreement." The answer felt hollow, even as Sophia provided it professional boundaries, increasingly insufficient for the emotional reality they navigated. "Agreements can change." Emma returned to her drawing, the observation offered with surprising maturity. "Dad tore up the Simpson contract when they wanted to make the heart machines more expensive. He said some things matter more than agreements on paper." Before Sophia could process this insight, Michael appeared at the garden entrance, his expression shifting from fatigue to warmth at the sight of them together. Emma closed her sketchbook, quickly preserving the surprise of her gift. Plotting secrets in the garden. Michael approached, suit jacket, removed tie, loosened after a day of intense preparation. "Girl talk." Emma offered the explanation with perfect 7-year-old nonchalance, no hint of their actual conversation visible in her demeanor. "Is dinner ready? I'm starving. Mrs. Rodriguez sent me to find you both. Something about pasta getting cold and her Italian grandmother spinning in her grave." Michael's smile came easily, evidence supporting Emma's earlier observation about increased frequency. As they walked inside together, Emma slipped her hand into Sophia's with natural confidence. The small gesture of trust, offered after revelations that might have shattered it, lodged in Sophia's heart with unexpected weight. Later that night, after Emma was asleep, Sophia found Michael in his study reviewing final documents for the sheikh's visit. She closed the door behind her, the soft click drawing his attention from spreadsheets and projections. "We need to talk." Her direct approach matched the urgency of the situation. "Emma knows about our arrangement. She overheard Mrs. Rodriguez discussing it with Catherine." Michael set down his pen, absorbing the information with characteristic control, though concern shadowed his eyes. What exactly did she say? That I'm here because of a contract related to the Sheikh's investment in my mother's treatment. Sophia took the chair opposite his desk, maintaining professional distance. She understands more than we've given her credit for. Michael leaned back, processing implications with visible calculation. How did she seem upset, confused? Neither, which is perhaps more concerning. Sophia recalled the child's matter-of-fact assessment. She accepted it as simply another adult complication. She even referenced your cancellation of the Simpson contract as evidence that agreements can change. A small smile touched Michael's lips despite the seriousness of the situation. She remembers that it was months ago. She remembers everything, Michael. Every conversation, every promise, every explanation about why things happen the way they do. Sophia leaned forward slightly. She's been processing our relationship through that same analytical lens she applies to her drawings, seeing what's really there, not what we think she sees. Michael's expression shifted, professional mask giving way to genuine concern. We should have been more careful, more honest with her from the beginning. Perhaps, Sophia paused, considering her next words carefully. Or perhaps this opens an opportunity for authentic conversation about what our arrangement means and what parts of it are real despite its contractual origins. The suggestion hung between them, implication extending beyond Emma to their own evolving dynamic. Michael studied Sophia with heightened attention, as if seeing new dimensions previously unacknowledged. What parts do you consider real beyond professional obligation? The question came quietly, venture into territory their agreement had carefully circumscribed. Sophia met his gaze directly, honesty demanded by circumstance. My commitment to Emma's well-being. My respect for your vision with Donovan Medical. She hesitated, boundaries blurring beyond recognition. My growing care for this family, however temporarily I'm part of it. Michael stood, moving it from behind the desk to reduce the physical barrier between them. And if it weren't temporary, if the parameters changed, the hypothetical open possibilities neither had permitted themselves to consider directly. Sophia remained seated, needing distance to maintain clarity as professional and personal boundaries dissolved. We agreed to 3 months. My mother's treatment, your business negotiation, clear beginning and end point. She spoke carefully, emotion held in careful check. Changing those terms would require reevaluating everything the arrangement was built upon. Terms change, circumstances evolve. Michael moved closer, his proximity creating awareness that transcended business discussion. These weeks have shown me possibilities I hadn't considered when drafting our agreement. Sophia stood, finally reducing the height differential that emphasized her vulnerability in this moment. The Sheikh arrives in 3 days. Emma knows our secret. This isn't the time for renegotiation of terms. Then when? Michael's question carried undertones beyond scheduling. After the Sheikh leaves, after your mother completes treatment, after you walk away as contracted. The escalating intensity revealed emotion beneath his controlled exterior. Sophia stepped back slightly, creating necessary space for clarity. After we've both had time to distinguish between authentic connection and proximity-induced attachment. Her clinical phrasing masked the turmoil beneath. Your daughter deserves better than emotional decisions made under pressure. Michael absorbed her response, discipline reasserting itself in his posture. You're right, of course. The timing is problematic. The professional acknowledgement cooled the charged atmosphere, boundaries temporarily reinforced. Sophia nodded, grateful for the retreat to safer territory. We should focus on the Sheikh's visit. Once that's concluded successfully, we can address Emma's awareness of our arrangement and other considerations. She moved toward the door, control reestablished, though tension lingered. Sophia. Michael's voice stopped her retreat. Regardless of contractual terms, what you've brought to this household is beyond what any agreement could have specified. I want you to know that. The sincere acknowledgement penetrated her careful defenses. She offered a small smile, genuine despite her confusion. Good night, Michael. The following days passed in whirlwind preparation. Final briefings, wardrobe fittings, household arrangements meticulously orchestrated by Catherine and Mrs. Rodriguez. Emma continued her normal routine, showing no outward sign that her perception of their family dynamic had fundamentally altered. Thursday evening arrived with military precision, The House Immaculate staff positioned Michael and Sophia prepared to greet the Sheikh's representative, who would confirm all was in readiness for the following day's crucial dinner. Emma had been included in the preparation, her room tidied to unprecedented standards, in case the Sheikh's youngest daughter wished to see it. "You look beautiful," Emma observed as Sophia made final adjustments to her conservative yet elegant attire. A navy dress with modest neckline and hemline selected specifically to respect traditional values while maintaining sophistication. Sophia smiled, touched by the compliment. "Thank you. Are you nervous about meeting our guests tomorrow?" "A little." Emma sat on Sophia's bed, legs swinging. "Dad said they're from a different culture, so I need to be extra polite." "That's good advice." Sophia secured a simple pearl necklace, another Donovan family piece Catherine had selected for its appropriate symbolism. "They have different customs than we do, but kindness and respect are universal." Emma nodded seriously. "Like when Juan moved here from Mexico and didn't speak English yet. Mrs. Peterson said we should imagine how we'd feel in a new place where everything was different." The child's empathetic perspective continued to impress Sophia. "Exactly like that. The Sheikh's daughter might feel uncomfortable in a new environment, so you can help her feel welcome." Their conversation was interrupted by Catherine's arrival, tablet in hand as always. "The Sheikh's representative will be here in 30 minutes. Michael is asking for you both downstairs." The household assembled in the formal living room. Michael in impeccable business attire, Sophia beside him, Emma freshly dressed in a conservative outfit that balanced childlike appropriateness with respect for their traditional visitors. Mrs. Rodriguez supervised final touches while staff stood ready in discreet positions. Michael drew Sophia slightly aside, voice lowered for privacy. "You look perfect. The Sheikh's cultural advisor will be evaluating everything: our home, our interaction, how we present as a family. We've prepared thoroughly." Sophia adjusted his tie slightly, the gesture intimate yet appropriate for public viewing. "Emma understands the importance. She's not the one I'm concerned about." Michael's gaze conveyed deeper meaning. "This dinner determines whether $2 billion funds the cardiac monitor's global distribution, whether thousands of lives are saved or lost while we seek alternative investors." The weight of tomorrow's stakes settled heavily between them. Sophia placed her hand lightly on his arm, grounding contact amid mounting pressure. "One step at a time. Tonight's representative, tomorrow's dinner. We'll navigate each moment as it comes." Michael covered her hand with his briefly genuine gratitude in the gesture. "Thank you for all of this." The moment of connection was interrupted by the doorbell. Mrs. Rodriguez moved to answer it, the household assuming positions for proper greeting. Michael and Sophia stood together, Emma slightly before them, the picture of family unity despite its artificial construction. The Sheikh's representative, Adel Rahman, a distinguished older man with traditional dress and impeccable English, conducted his inspection with polite thoroughness. He reviewed the dinner menu, examined the formal dining room, and observed the family interaction with careful attention. "Sheikh Al-Fayed appreciates your accommodation of our customs, Mr. Donovan." Rahman's approval was measured but positive. "Mrs. Al-Fayed particularly looks forward to meeting your fiancé tomorrow. She was most impressed by her background in medical care." Sophia smiled warmly, the role now fitting like second skin after weeks of preparation. "I look forward to meeting her as well. I hope our modest home will make the Sheikh and his family feel welcome." Rahman's expression softened slightly. Family harmony creates the foundation for successful business partnerships. The Sheikh believes this deeply. His gaze moved to Emma, who stood with remarkable poise beside her father. "And this must be the young artist we've heard about. The Sheikh's daughter Amira has brought her sketchbooks, hoping to share creative discussion." Emma responded with practiced courtesy, the weeks of preparation evident in her composed response. "I would like that very much, sir. Thank you." Well, the inspection concluded positively, Rahman departing with assurances that all arrangements met the Sheikh's expectations. As the door closed behind him, collective tension released throughout the household. Staff dispersed to final preparations, Catherine made last-minute notes, and Michael exhaled audibly. "You were perfect." He placed a hand on Emma's shoulder, pride evident in his expression. "Both of you." The successful preliminary visit should have brought confidence, yet, as Sophia prepared for bed that night, uneasiness settled beneath her ribs. Tomorrow's dinner represented culmination of their arrangement, The business purpose that had brought them together, the financial exchange that had secured her mother's treatment, the performance that had created their temporary family. Its success would fulfill their contract's primary objective. What remained unclear was what would follow, how they would navigate the remaining weeks of their agreement once its central purpose was achieved, how they would address Emma's awareness of their arrangement, how they would manage the emotional complications neither had anticipated when signing their names to clinical terms. Sleep proved elusive, Sophia's mind cycling through possibilities and contingencies. Near midnight, a soft knock at her door brought her fully alert. She found Emma in the hallway, stuffed elephant clutched against her nightgown. "I had a dream about Mom." The child's voice wavered slightly, vulnerability replacing her earlier composure. "She was painting in her room, but when I tried to talk to her, she couldn't hear me." Sophia gathered Emma against her, guiding her into the suite without hesitation. Dreams about people we miss are complicated. Sometimes wonderful, sometimes sad. "Can I stay with you?" Emma's request came softly, the child seeking comfort beyond what stuffed companions could provide. "Just for a little while." "Of course." Sophia settled them both on the window seat, moonlight silvering Emma's dark hair as she curled against Sophia's side. "Would you like to tell me more about the dream?" Emma shook her head slightly. "Will you tell me about your mom instead? Is she getting better?" The redirect revealed Emma's awareness of parallel grief. Different circumstances, but similar emotional landscape. Sophia stroked her hair gently, finding truth within careful boundaries. "She is getting better. The medicine is working, though she still gets very tired." Sophia kept her voice soft in the darkness. "She asks about you whenever I visit. She likes hearing about your drawings. Maybe I could make something for her to help her feel better." Emma's generosity emerged even through her own emotional need. "Art helps when you read it." "She would love that." Sophia felt unexpected tears prick her eyes at the child's compassion. "That's very thoughtful of you, Emma." They sat in comfortable silence, Emma's breathing gradually slowing towards sleep. Before surrendering completely, she murmured against Sophia's shoulder, "I wish you were staying forever, not just for the contract." The simple declaration cut through pretense to emotional truth that had been building beneath their arrangement. Sophia held Emma closer, her response careful yet honest. "Some of the most important things in life can't be written into contracts." Emma's breathing deepened into sleep trust evident in her complete relaxation. Sophia remained motionless, supporting the child's weight while processing the implications of her attachment. This connection had never been part of their agreement, the genuine bond forming between herself and a child who had lost her mother, who now faced losing another maternal figure when their arrangement concluded. Morning arrived too quickly, the household launching into final preparations for evening's crucial dinner. Sophia ensured Emma was settled with Mrs. Rodriguez before joining Catherine for last-minute briefings. The personal assistant provided updates on seating arrangements, cultural protocols, and potential conversation topics. Mrs. Al-Fayed is particularly interested in women's education initiatives. The Donovan Foundation Scholarship Program for female medical students would be an excellent discussion point. Catherine reviewed notes with characteristic efficiency. Also, the Sheikh appreciates punctuality above all. The entire family will arrive precisely at 7. On the day passed in mounting anticipation, staff making final adjustments, while Michael conducted emergency damage control when a minor issue arose with the Tokyo manufacturing specifications. By late afternoon, the household hummed with controlled tension, everything aligned for optimal impression. As Sophia dressed for dinner, selecting the elegant emerald gown Catherine had designated for the occasion, her phone chimed with a message from Dr. Levine. Her mother's latest test results showed tumor reduction exceeding expectations, the treatment working even more effectively than projected. The news should have brought unmitigated joy. Instead, it triggered complex emotions, gratitude for her mother's improvement colliding with awareness that the arrangement securing that treatment now approached its primary purpose, leaving an uncertain future once the Sheikh's investment was secured. A knock at her door revealed Michael already dressed in formal attire, expression tight with pre-negotiation focus. "Catherine said you received an update from Dr. Levine." "Yes, my mother's responding exceptionally well to treatment." Sophia secured a diamond earring, now familiar weight, against her neck after weeks of wearing Donovan family pieces for public appearances. "The protocol is working better than expected." "That's wonderful news." Michael's genuine pleasure showed through business preoccupation. Perhaps we should discuss adjusting the timeline for, his suggestion was interrupted by Mrs. Rodriguez appearing in the hallway. Mr. Donovan, the florist, need final approval on the dining room arrangements. The moment-fractured conversation postponed by immediate logistics. Michael nodded briefly to Sophia. We'll continue this later. The sheikh arrives in 90 minutes. Left alone to complete her preparations, Sophia studied her reflection, transformation from unemployed nurse to convincing society fiancé complete after weeks of Catherine's careful coaching. The woman in the mirror appeared confident, polished, perfectly suited to stand beside Michael Donovan at crucial business negotiations. Yet beneath the exterior transformation, deeper evolution had occurred. Attachment to Emma, understanding of Michael beyond his controlled facade, integration into household rhythms that now felt natural rather than performed. The contract had specified external parameters while failing to account for internal developments neither party had anticipated. At precisely 7 o'clock, the sheikh's motorcade arrived. Michael, Sophia, and Emma stood together in the foyer family tableau, carefully arranged for maximum impact. As Mrs. Rodriguez opened the door, Sophia felt Michael's hand settle at the small of her back. Familiar touch, now instinctive rather than calculated, genuine support rather than performance. Sheikh Abdullah Al-Fayed entered with dignified presence, his traditional dress impeccable, his bearing regal without ostentation. His wife followed, elegant in conservative but fashionable attire, her intelligent gaze assessing the household with subtle attention. Their 3 daughters entered last, the youngest, Amira, standing slightly behind her mother with artistic shyness Sophia recognized from Emma's similar tendency. Sheikh Al-Fayed, welcome to our home. Michael stepped forward, extending his hand in the Western greeting they had been advised was acceptable. We are honored by your presence. The sheikh accepted the handshake with formal warmth. Mr. Donovan, the honor is mutual. Your reputation for innovation precedes you. Introductions proceeded with practiced precision. Sophia greeting Mrs. Al-Fayed with respectful warmth, Emma demonstrating perfect manners to the sheikh's daughters. The initial moments unfolded exactly as Catherine had choreographed, cultural differences bridged by universal protocols of hospitality and respect. Dinner continued this successful trajectory, conversation flowing naturally despite careful navigation of cultural considerations. Michael presented his vision for the cardiac monitor's global implementation with passion tempered by strategic restraint, the sheikh responding with thoughtful questions that revealed genuine interest beyond financial return. Sophia engaged Mrs. Al-Fayed in discussion of the Donovan Foundation's educational initiatives, finding unexpected common ground despite different cultural backgrounds. Education transforms not just individuals but generations, Mrs. Al-Fayed observed. My grandmother could not read. My daughters pursue doctoral studies. This is progress worth supporting. The connection formed naturally, transcending rehearsed talking points to genuine exchange. Across the table, Michael caught Sophia's eye, briefly silent acknowledgement of successful engagement passing between them with the ease of true partners rather than contractual associates. After dinner, the adults moved to the drawing room, while Emma and Amira were permitted to retire to the art room, chaperoned by Mrs. Rodriguez and the sheikh's assistant. Coffee was served in traditional-style business discussion, gradually intensifying as pleasantries gave way to substantive negotiation. Your cardiac monitoring system has impressive capabilities, the sheikh acknowledged, examining the prototype Michael had presented. But implementation across diverse healthcare systems presents significant challenges, which is why we've developed adaptive protocols for varying infrastructure levels. Michael activated the device's demonstration mode. The system can function with the existing technology in developed regions while operating independently in areas with limited resources. The sheikh nodded thoughtfully. A commendable approach, yet questions of sustainability remain. What happens when the initial investment is exhausted? The foundation has established a revolving fund model. Sophia entered the conversation naturally, her medical background providing authentic contribution. Regions that can afford standard pricing subsidize implementation in underserved areas. Everyone receives the technology, but payment structures vary according to capacity. Mrs. Al-Fayed smiled slightly at her husband. A similar approach to your father's water purification initiative in North Africa. The reference to family history shifted the sheikh's expression, subtly professional assessment, warming with personal recognition. Indeed, sustainability requires both innovation and wisdom. His gaze moved between Michael and Sophia. I see evidence of both here. The discussion continued, technical details and financial projections reviewed with increasing depth. Throughout the exchange, Sophia maintained her role as a partner rather than ornament, offering insights where appropriate, supporting Michael's presentation with relevant observations, demonstrating the unified approach Catherine had emphasized as crucial to the Sheikh's traditional values. As coffee concluded, Mrs. Al-Fayed suggested checking on the children. Sophia accompanied her upstairs, finding Emma and Amira deeply engaged in artistic exchange despite language differences. Sketchbooks opened between them. They communicated through drawing rather than words, finding connection that transcended cultural distinction. Art speaks its own language, Mrs. Al-Fayed observed softly. My daughter rarely engages so quickly with strangers. Your Emma has a special gift. She takes after her mother. Sophia spoke without thinking, the truth emerging naturally after weeks of learning Catherine's influence on her daughter. She was an artist as well. Mrs. Al-Fayed's expression reflected understanding beyond what had been formally shared. Loss shapes families in profound ways. How we rebuild afterward reveals our true character. The observation contained wisdom. Sophia hadn't expected insight that penetrated beyond polite exchange to genuine human recognition. Before she could respond, Mrs. Rodriguez appeared at the doorway. The gentlemen are asking for you to rejoin them. I believe discussions are concluding. Downstairs, they found Michael and the Sheikh standing together, formal postures suggesting significant conversation had occurred in their absence. The Sheikh's expression held satisfaction rather than reservation. Michael's carefully controlled excitement, visible only to those who knew him well. Ms. Morgan, we were just discussing implementation timelines. The Sheikh's tone carried approval beyond business assessment. Your fiancé has convinced me that immediate investment will accelerate development significantly. The technology is ready. Michael added professional restraint, masking the victories Sophia recognized in his stance. With your partnership, global distribution can begin within 6 months rather than 2 years. Then we shall proceed. The Sheikh extended his hand to Michael, the gesture simple yet profound in its implications. My team will finalize the agreement tomorrow. $2 billion as discussed. The moment represented culmination of their entire arrangement. The business partnership secured the investment, confirmed the primary purpose of their contract achieved. Michael accepted the handshake with appropriate gravity, though Sophia detected the depth of emotion beneath his composed exterior. Thank you for your trust, Sheikh Al-Fayed. This partnership will save countless lives. As the evening concluded, farewells exchanged with formal warmth. Success hung in the air like rare perfume. The Sheikh's family departed precisely on schedule, the household exhaling collective relief once the motorcade disappeared from view. Staff began discreet cleanup, while Emma was escorted to bed by Mrs. Rodriguez, excitement of the evening, leaving the child happily exhausted. Michael and Sophia remained in the foyer, silent acknowledgement of achievement passing between them. We did it. Michael's voice carried wonder beneath professional satisfaction. $2 billion, global implementation within 6 months. You did it, Sophia corrected gently. Your vision, your technology. I just helped create the right environment. Michael shook his head slightly. No, we did it together. The Sheikh made that explicitly clear during our private discussion. Your engagement with Mrs. Al-Fayed, your interaction with Emma, the household harmony you've created, these were deciding factors in his assessment. The acknowledgement should have brought uncomplicated pride. Instead, it highlighted the artificial nature of their arrangement's success built on foundations that would soon dissolve according to contractual terms. Sophia moved toward the staircase, sudden exhaustion overwhelming her. It's been a long day. We should both get some rest. Michael caught her hand, gently stopping her retreat. Sophia, wait. There's something we need to discuss. The touch sent familiar warmth through her fingers, connection established over weeks of careful choreography, now feeling natural rather than performed. Sophia turned back at the awareness of transition point in their arrangement, heightening emotional complexity. The contract has fulfilled its purpose. The Sheikh's investment is secured. She stated the obvious, needing explicit acknowledgement of their position. What happens now? Michael's expression shifted from business triumph to personal uncertainty. rare vulnerability, emerging as professional mask dissolved. That depends on what you want to happen. The response transferred decision-making to her unexpected reversal of the power dynamic that had shaped their arrangement from inception. Sophia withdrew her hand carefully, needing physical distance to maintain emotional clarity. What I want, the question emerged with unexpected sharpness. The entire arrangement was structured around what you needed: a temporary fiancé to impress the sheikh, a maternal figure for Emma, the appearance of family stability to secure business investment, and what you needed: treatment for your mother, financial stability, housing during crisis. Michael's response came evenly, without defensiveness. We both entered this arrangement with clear understanding of its parameters. Parameters that didn't account for. Sophia hesitated, struggling to articulate the emotional complications that had developed beneath their contractual framework. For Emma, becoming attached; for the household, adapting to your presence; for us, developing connection beyond professional collaboration. Michael completed her thought with unexpected directness. I agree. The contract was insufficient for the reality that evolved within it. The acknowledgement hung between them, admission of complexity neither had anticipated when signing their names to clinical terms. Sophia moved to the window overlooking the garden, gathering thoughts beneath moonlight that silvered the roses Emma had so carefully captured in her drawings. My mother's treatment is working better than expected. She'll likely achieve remission within months rather than years. Sophia spoke softly, facts providing stable ground beneath emotional quicksand. The financial arrangement secured her care regardless of outcome. For that alone, I will always be grateful. Gratitude isn't what I'm asking about. Michael approached carefully, maintaining respectful distance while reducing separation. I'm asking what you want now that the contract's primary purpose is fulfilled. The question demanded honesty beyond professional parameters. Sophia turned to face him directly, moonlight illuminating his features, the controlled exterior, now softened with vulnerability, she glimpsed only in unguarded moments with Emma. I want clarity about what's real and what was performance. Her voice steadied as she continued. About which parts of the past 6 weeks were contractual obligation and which were genuine connection. About what remains when business necessity is removed from the equation. Michael nodded, accepting the challenge implicit in her response. Fair questions. Here's what I know is real. Emma smiles more since you arrived. The locked door to Catherine's room is open now. The house feels like a home rather than a memorial to what was lost. Each observation penetrated Sophia's careful defenses, acknowledging transformation beyond what their agreement had specified. Michael continued, each word measured with characteristic precision. What's real is that I find myself looking for you when I enter a room, considering your perspective when making decisions, wanting to share moments beyond what our arrangement requires. His voice softened. What's real is that the thought of you leaving when our contract concludes has become increasingly problematic. The admission contained vulnerability beyond anything their agreement had permitted, genuine emotional investment, transcending professional parameters. Sophia absorbed his words, their implications cascading through carefully constructed boundaries. And Emma, she knows about our arrangement. She understands its temporary nature. Sophia's primary concern emerged instinctively. What happens to her when I leave as contracted? That depends entirely on whether you choose to leave. Michael closed the distance between them, proximity creating awareness that transcended business discussion. The contract specified 3 months. We've completed 6 weeks. Nothing prevents us from renegotiating terms. The suggestion opened possibilities neither had permitted themselves to consider directly. Sophia maintained eye contact despite the vulnerability it created. What terms would you propose? Open-ended rather than time-limited, based on mutual choice rather than financial necessity. Michael's voice remained steady despite the magnitude of what he offered. Founded on what we've discovered rather than what we initially assumed. The proposal represented transformation of their entire arrangement, from clinical business agreement to authentic personal connection, from temporary performance to potential permanence. Sophia's breath caught at implications extending far beyond original parameters. That's a significant revision of our original understanding. She spoke carefully, emotion held in check beneath professional assessment, with complications neither of us anticipated. The most meaningful things in life rarely arrive as anticipated. Michael's response carried wisdom beyond business calculation. Sometimes they appear disguised as temporary arrangements with expiration dates. The observation penetrated Sophia's remaining defenses, recognition of truth beyond contractual language. 6 weeks earlier, she had signed an agreement born of desperate necessity. Now she stood amid possibility. Neither desperation nor necessity had allowed her to imagine genuine connection forming within artificial framework, authentic family, potentially emerging from temporary performance. Michael extended his hand, the gesture both invitation and acknowledgement of her autonomy in this moment. The contract has served its purpose. What happens next is entirely your choice. Sophia looked at his outstretched hand, decision point crystallizing between them. Their arrangement had begun as business transaction evolved through careful choreography and now stood at threshold of transformation. Neither had sought, but both now navigated. As her fingers met his, connection established not through contractual obligation, but through deliberate choice. Sophia recognized truth that had been building beneath their careful parameters. Some arrangements begun for practical necessity contained seeds of possibility no contract could adequately define or limit. The business was concluded. The choice remained. And in the moonlight filtering through windows that had witnessed their careful performance become increasingly genuine connection, Sophia made her decision not based on what their agreement had specified, but on what reality had revealed beyond its insufficient terms.